cards in the main. There's a lot of cards where the second one is worse than the first, not so necessary, like Trial of Ambition. So you've got lots of 3 and 2 ofs here, which, I don't know, could be a sign of unfocus, could also just be a sign that, like, yeah, Historic's chaotic, and you gotta have a chaotic mix of answers to different sorts of things to contend with that. So anyway, we've got ourselves a mix of discard spells and removal stuff, and instants, and just... Alright, new decision. We're cutting a trial, I think, and I want to add one more thought erasure to the main here, so I'll just cut this thought erasure that I don't have here anymore. Never mind. Never mind, I'll put back the trial. Yeah. Historic's a crazy format. I am basically seeing about 50% field decks, and some small percent other things. A lot of other things. And you can't beat everything with a control deck. I'm not a natural control player, and it's frustrating realizing sometimes that, yep, I just didn't have the right configuration for this matchup today. And of course, playing an 80-card control deck exacerbates the inability to find specific answers sometimes. That said, winning more than losing, slowly inching my way up the ladder, and yep, just looking for the perfect mix of cards to have by the time the invitation rolls around, although hopefully Fielded Ed will have been banned by then again, so I won't need Deputy of Intention in this deck anymore. Deputy, very much a necessary evil. This hand's very good. Down for this. Glad I put in this Fabled Passage, which otherwise would have been a... What would this have been? This would have been, I think, an irrigated farmland? Okay, but it did not cast Spectral Sailor, which means we're not about to do Curious Obsession. This is going to be like... Ooh, okay. We're up against a rare control deck? That's exciting. Let's Thoughtseize, see what's going on here. Yeah, it's a genuine white-blue control deck. So I was seeing a lot of like white-blue and Grixis control right after Amonkhet came out, and you may not be surprised to hear I'm not really seeing those anymore to the same extent. So I take Absorb with Thoughts Intervention. Thoughts Intervention is more flexible. I'm going to cut that. We'll obviously get to absorb something at some point, but it's whatever. Hey there, Blizzard Bane. Ooh, Narset. Well, we can't resolve you yet, but we can try to bait Absorb with Only to See. Look for nothing scary they can resolve with Absorb back up that I can't negate. I'm just going to test the waters here, and then if this gets absorbed, Narset should be resolving safely. She turns off Tef. Nope, it's not going to bite, that's fine. Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with both of these. I like continue to cast Only to See to boost my hand. Blizzard, that's a great question. I was actually pondering that one myself today. It's a really tough decision, because obviously draw 3, discard 1 is better than your opponent getting to make an interest split. But at the same time, it's considerably better to have a 3-2 than not to have a 3-2. The question is, like, how much does the 3-2 matter? In some matchups, like Field of Dead, it really matters very little. But then there are some matchups, like, so let me know our Archmantle turned down a bit. Oh, I see. Some settings were reset. Anyway, there are some matchups where you actually do want the 3-2. Like in Mono Red, the 3-2 basically trades for one of their cards, and so it kind of turns into like you get an Atris choice and they have to discard a burn spell and spend mana, so that's like really good. Or against like a control deck like the one we're playing now, Atris gets around Narset, it can attack Planeswalkers, it does a whole host of useful things. Speaking of which, am I casting Narset with Negate back up this turn? What's the worst that happens? They have like 2 counter spells, and then they resolve it to Fairy. But then I resolve a Yori, and I get to blink Omen of the Sea twice. So I think we're still fighting on pretty even terms there. So I think I'm going to go for it. Doesn't have to, but I have a feeling this is probably going to work. And if they have Dovin's Veto, whatever, I just get to negate. Hold up negate. Okay. Hey Tito, how's it going tonight? Yeah, main deck negate has been quite good. Even the most common aggro decks are like all of them are playing 4 Collected Company, or they're playing, 20 burn spells, and so negate almost always has something to do. The Narset missed, but she sent a deputy and a bunch of lands to the bottom of my library, which I hugely endorse. It's still very good. And now I get to hit Demonic Pact, so I assume this probably gets countered. But that's okay with me. I'm just going to take it because it's an extremely threatening thing to play this turn. And they do run Thassa's Intervention. They might have Wench or something. How much does it matter? I'll put the untapped land down, you never know. Plus we may be flickering a Omen of the Sea this turn. Wow, that just resolved. Okay. Opponent just gives up, yeah. So that was like a tough one for them. Obviously, Demonic Pact is a bit of a risk against control decks because they can try to counter the Orion to stop you from blinking it, but because we had Flicker and the Orion in our Exile Zone and the Orion in hand, really unlikely my opponent was going to be able to beat all of those. And now we get to go on our nice anti-control plan. We cut the Trials, we cut Deputy of Detention. So Deputy and Oath are an interesting mix. Deputy obviously can temporarily take a Planeswalker off the board, but is vulnerable to removal. Oath can deal some damage and sometimes take a Planeswalker off the board, but sometimes just whiffs. And Eliminate can kill specifically Narset and can kill Sharks at instant speed, but it's going to be pretty bad against most of our opponent's deck. Yeah, Blizzard Beam, that's true. Since I only run 2, I'm not too worried about having multiples, but it's not a bad point. Ashiok is occasionally useful against Search for Azcanta, but not too good. I think I probably want to go to, like... I've got, like, 9 counterspells we can take out of Narset on curve. I'm not super worried about Narset here. I think we just cut the Eliminates. And we probably just keep the Deputies and the Oaths. And then if we see, like, Search for Azcanta, we can bring in Ashiok. They probably have Search for Azcanta, so maybe let's just bring in Ashiok now. I'm really not sure. Wow. Alright, so this hand has a mix of lands and spells and colors and stuff, but it also has, like, 3 of my worst cards in the matchup. I think the average 6 is going to be better than this. Like, it's not the worst thing to have negate and then be able to Aetris later, but this hand is just super mopey. Ew. Alright, so I'm going to keep this on the basis of having Thoughtseize and hoping to hit a second land which can let me veto. Might not be good enough, but I don't want to go to 5. Alright, and we are rewarded with a really, really good draw there. So we get Thoughtseize, then we get Veto, and maybe we even get Campaign on curve. Alright, opponent has brought in Dream Trawler. That's a little scary. They kept a kind of a sketchy one, though. So I'm torn between taking Shark Typhoon and taking Dream Trawler. Taking Typhoon stops them from being able to cycle into white mana nearly as easily. Yeah, I think we take that. Dream Trawler is obviously terrifying and really hard to deal with if they can get it down, since we don't have our Trial of Ambitions. If we lose this one, we might want to bring in a couple of trials for that. But I think making their hand clumsy is good. Oh, well, they hit the white mana right on time, but they still don't have Absorb. So that's a good thing. I'm gonna play this, you never know, they might just cycle into an Narset, and our life total shouldn't really matter in this game, especially if they're cycling away this Typhoon. They might cycle the Cast out, yeah, that makes sense too. So Flicker can kill a Shark, worth noting. Not that I'm too afraid of big sharks here, but Flicker can kill one. So I would love here as a third land so I could just play Campaign and get along with my life, perfect. So now I jam this, if they have a counterspell that's not absorbed they can cast, good job. If they don't, then this plus Flicker is going to start making their life miserable pretty quickly. Alright, and they just go Field of Ruin, love to see that. That's excellent, unless they have Mystical Dispute, in which case it's sad. But if they don't get double white, that's still good. I've got 2 blue, 1 white, 1 black. I have 2 white spells in hand, so I think I go for white. I do need double black for Demonic Pact, but I think that's like a thing for future Aaron to worry about since I don't have one yet. Hey, Ansky! Alright, we drew a Narset, which is a nice pickup. You know, it's just going to get absorbed right now, but he's not a bad card nonetheless. We still have a 4th land, so I gotta hold up Negate and Flicker. There we go, and it's even a black land. Perfect. Feels good to be perfect. So, given that I have that, I think I just hold off for now. I guess I could Flicker the Campaign to try and bait out something from my opponent here. I used to have some Disdainful Stroke in my sideboard, and I've replaced it by just like having more vetoes. Disdainful Stroke hits Muxus, Dream Trawler. That's honestly about it. But it is nice for random things like this sometimes. So I think I'm gonna Narset here. The reason being that they might decide to cycle Shark Typhoon to try and kill her. Alright. So it goes, they did not. That's fine. We did eat and absorb though, which means I might be able to cast Yorion next turn, Blinking Disinformation Campaign. Or not, that's a Fetid Pools. But I'm just gonna play that out. It's whatever. Yeah, Dream Trawler is tremendously dangerous. Kinda need to find targeted discard to get rid of it at this rate. But now I know that I can replace all my deputies with trials, which is pretty helpful. Okay, so this feels like another Typhoon to me. I have found Typhoon to be like manifestly unimpressive in this format, but it is pretty nice for, you know, these control mirrors, however rare they may be. Card I would consider playing if it weren't just so thoroughly awful in the first like 3 to 4 turns of the game. I think pretty much every spell you cast aside from Yorion has to be useful somewhere in the early turns. Alright, so we get to pick something off. Would love a discard spell. If I can hit a discard spell, take this Trawler, and then have negate for a counter on the discard spell, that would be like super ideal. Wouldn't. Oh wow, they just got rid of Trawler. Okay, if they're planning to kill me with sharks, I think I can live with that. So this turn I'm just going to put Yorion into my hand. The next turn I'm going to cast Yorion with counter backup. If they have another shark, they get to hit me to 7, but then Yorion blocks the sharks. I don't think it means they have ECA, I think it just means they have Shark Typhoon. Okay, Thassa's Intervention is also reasonable. Do I counter this? They're gonna get 2 cards off of this? I think I do. Possible they like tap out, resolve it to Fairy here, in which case that's awkward. But then I do get to resolve Yorion at least. Narset Parter Avails. Alright. Narset is also sad. Yeah, it was tough. They were able to force the issue really well with Thassa's Intervention. My good card advantage spells were sorcery speed in this matchup, so it's tough. Okay, well, Censor at least doesn't do much. And our opponent recognizes that it doesn't do much. Okay, well, time to make my big Sky Noodle. We don't get to draw off the campaign, but they do have to discard. That was probably another 1-mana Cycler in their hand, given that they paused there but didn't dispute the Yorion. Hey, Butters, going alright. I like this version of the deck. Had a frustrating match against rank like 16 or something where I couldn't find a single Deputy Detention against them in the first half of my deck in a sideboard field game. Aside from that, things are rolling along nicely. So the thing I really need here would be like Oath of Kaya would be outstanding, Demonic Pact would be absolutely insane, Atris would be incredible, even Omen of the Sea, just like any form of like card selection would be great. Never mind, many of those things that I just talked about would be countered. Still, they're almost out of stuff to do. Are they going to try and cast out Yorion? Do I just let this happen if they want to do that? Do I care about this? Huh. Yeah, given that I've got the second Yorion, I'm pretty okay with this coming down, like whatever. So now I get to eat their veto, and then I have a 4/5 and a counterspell against their 2/2 and nothing. Oh, and an Omen of the Sea. Alright, well now it looks like we might just be running away with it. Good old 8-card hands. Totally compensates for mulligans. Also, pour one out for Disinformation Campaign. Wizards had said that they eventually think this format will be on a modern power level, at which point maybe Disinformation Campaign no longer really competes, but I like it right now. Llamas and card draw. Hero of Dominaria is just a slow magic card, unfortunately. It just doesn't do that much compared to its cost. For 5 mana, you need to be doing what Yorion is doing, that is you're presenting a gigantic threat that also you know, draws you several cards right away or something like that, and has like a variety of other effects. Like, Teferi removing one thing or drawing one card and then dying is not good. Obviously, it would be great in a control mirror like the one we're playing now, but against Field of the Dead, it's practically useless. Against aggro decks, it's practically useless. It's just not a good historic card. And I think there may be cards I'm currently playing that also are that way. Like, I wouldn't say that Atris is necessarily a good historic card, but it does a little bit more than Teferi and it's cheaper. Thoughtseize and Censor. Yeah, not too interested in either of these. Let's bottom these, and then we'll set the Omen to Scry. Demonic Pact. Now, that's what I'm interested in. Do I sack to Scry now? I think I do. I've got 3 Flickers and 2 more Yorians I could draw that would be a good reason to keep this up, but I also don't want to draw something dead this turn. If I can hit, like, a counter spell, oh my goodness. Well, yeah, it's all really good. Definitely down for all of that. Okay. I'll take Veto first, because I might want to use the campaign to discard one of my opponent's cards at some point. And I could play it to just draw into the Veto and then have the campaign on board, but it wouldn't be that helpful to me. And whereas if they're holding up a counterspell, Disinformation campaign can sort of force the issue. There actually is some risk to casting Pact now. I'm not entirely sure I want to do it until my opponent's going to die before I do. So I'm actually going to hold back on Pact. It's going to look a little weird, but I actually might lose to this if I'm not careful. So the thing that's the biggest threat by far that my opponent could present to me here would be like another Shark Typhoon. Another Shark Typhoon would pretty much wipe me out. I'm going to start with Disinformation campaign, see if they are holding another Shark Typhoon, because this way we at least hit the card they cycle into. Okay, this eats a Veto. Can't counter that, that's fine. So now I'm going to swing with Yorian, and once again the choice is presented to me. Do I cast Demonic Pact? I basically get to hit my opponent once, hit them 3 more times with Yorian, which puts them to 1, exactly. So I'm going to hold off for now. Still a risk they hit another Typhoon. And this may be too conservative. It may be that given that I'm going to draw some cards off of this, I do have a lot of good effects left. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to go for it here. If they have a Shark, they get to eat Yorian, but then I Oath of Kaya down the Shark. And I get to resolve Demonic Pact with Dovin's Veto up. And then I just have to hope for the best, that I hit a Flicker or another Yorian. Okay, they did it the Shark, so it goes. At least they don't get to Scry right now. I do have enough mana to pull off everything that I want to do. So we're going to be in a close fight, for sure. Huh. Worth knowing, if I draw Deputy of Detention gets rid of Cast Out, which gives me a Yorian, so that's really excellent. Although Castle Ardenvale is concerning. Not that concerning. Really, Demonic Pact is a faster clock than Castle Ardenvale now. Obviously start with the draw 2 here, since we have nothing going on. Obvious Pizza, thanks for the follow. Geez. Alright, well those were bad cards. We are now pretty likely to lose to the Demonic Pact. We have some chance of pulling it up with no counters left. You know, and our opponent's scrying 2 every turn. We're at a deficit here. It was an interesting game. We had kind of some back and forth swings. Alright, Teferi Hero of Dominaria is nice. Yeah, opponent playing 2 colors, they're getting the benefit of that. Me playing Castle Vantress in this deck would be foolhardy, but my opponent does get to play Castle Vantress, and they get some edge in these long games. Could still bail out with Yorian or something here. I do get to kill Tef, which is nice. 1 Deputy of Detention, please. Demonic Pact again. Alright. Could be worse. Demonic Pact basically represents 2 more cards. And I've got 7 draws, I think, that all work to get the game for me. Although my opponent could, of course, have counter spells open for many of those. If they just, like, keep an Absorb on top, I can't win anymore. Or I'll have a hard time winning. No, I can actually win. So they can't actually keep a counter because I've got a discard on one of these pacts. Might as well play out this land. I have a lot of random, like, draw cards to pay mana to draw cards effects. So having every land I can put on the battlefield seems useful. Gonna be close. My odds are not super good. I'm like 7 for... I don't know how much I've subscribed to the bottom. 7 for 51 here. But some of the cards that are not in the 51 are more draw spells. So it's going to be a little adventure this turn, or maybe I just throw 3 lands and die immediately. We'll see. Alright, smells like a shark. Fortunately, I'm at 18, so a shark is not a concern as long as I can blink one of these pacts. Oh, is it Sphinx's Rev? Okay, for a second I was afraid I was going to use Sphinx's Revelation, which might have meant that even blinking a pact would not have been too helpful. Oh, we got there. We hit a Flicker and an Atris. Alright, well, let's start with Atris. So now I get to flicker one of the packs, which doesn't permanently solve my problem, but it does keep me alive. Oh yeah, I could flicker cast down. Oh, that's amazing. Obvious pizza. Chat advantage here. So as a dirty streamer, I'm getting a huge advantage. Oh, they gave me a flicker anyway. So yeah, now we get to do this fun thing. Yeah, this totally should work. Get out. Ooh, Llamas and card draw, you make a compelling point, but... Yeah, and this is the thing, like, we were both control decks, we both played our control game, but I just ended up with a bunch of game-winning spells in my deck at the end. Alright. Top 200. It's been a while since I've been this high with this kind of deck. I see the music is bugged out, so let me restart that real quick. Huh. Game-winning spells are great, Boreas. They are very good. Yeah, it's incredibly sweet, Butters. I am big on Esper Yorion, sorry. Really, really like this deck. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Weed and Magic, but the fact is that school is not everyone's thing, and certainly there are a lot of things you can do in life with or without it, but I don't really know much about your situation, so I probably shouldn't be mouthing off about it. Even so, it is possible that school is not the thing for you as a person, and there's no shame in that. It's a weird artificial thing that we kind of enforce upon everyone as though it were normal. Oh, Collected Company would make that deck a lot better. Ignis Bolt, the Mythic Invitational is coming up, so I imagine that a lot of the biggest streamers and or pros are preparing for that, which is why you might not be seeing so much Standard. Standard's also going to rotate really soon. It's a bit of a dead format. Alright, so we are up against Mono Red. This hand is still a keep. It's got a very good like early curve of spells that interact with them. It's not the best hand. Like, ideally against Mono Red, you want like an Oath of Kaya. Oh, never mind. Not Mono Red. Jegantha pretty much had always meant Mono Red in my experience, but this looks like probably like Niv? Oh, it's Jegantha Field of the Dead. So that means they're not playing, like, Casualties of War, I guess? Alright, Jegantha Field. Huh. Okay, well, here's what it is, I guess. So we do have a couple Deputy in the main decks. This matchup is pretty tough pre-board on the play. Another Thoughtseize. Am I just doing that right now? Yeah, another Thoughtseize actually seems pretty good. The nice thing about playing Omen this turn is it sets me up to have turn 4 Atris more reliably, but Thoughtseize is one of those cards that gets to be dead in this matchup real fast. And if my opponent starts putting out tons of lands with this Uro, then the Disinformation Campaign starts to actually take real cards from them. Alright, so my opponent, unless they top deck an Hour really fast, they might actually have kind of a hard time getting to 7 unique lands anytime soon, which gives me time to set up with what my thing is. So, ooh, Narset's great. They need at least one more colored land to be able to put and a card in the graveyard to be able to cast Yorion, so they probably have to wait until next turn, which means I can resolve Narset and turn these off. Something like a Golos or an Hour Promise could still wreck me. But we've potentially bought a window of time to set up. Do need a 4th land at some point. Growth Spiral is totally fine. Okay, looks like the opponent... Alright, opponent has hit their Uro mana, but just in time we have Narset going. So they've now got, all right, another field dead. So we really need them not to draw an Hour of Promise, but we have a negate. So we're going to take this one-turn window to throw down Narset. We really need to hit a 4th land next turn. But if they don't hit Hour of Promise, we should be fine. I'll take Omen, because we're not really going to be discarding their stuff anytime soon. Also, we're horribly down on mana. So they had the lots of fields early draw, which can be pretty good, but now they have to actually find 2 more unique lands. Yeah, Boreas, field should absolutely be banned. It's an impossibly good deck compared to everything else in Historic. It's not like a one-note combo. And you really don't want a format where there's one dominant mid-range control deck, and then everybody else has to play one-note combo to beat it. Okay, wow, that's not a unique land either. Alright, opponent is reduced to casting Gigantha this turn, which is awesome. And we hit a 4th land, which is also fantastic. So now we've got a huge amount of dominance asserted over the game. I basically get to trial down the Gigantha. Even if my opponent hits Golos, they still can't turn on field right away. And I get to start casting Omen of the Sea to draw cards. Question is, should I use Narset? I don't think there's a great reason not to. Thing is, I already got 2 Omen of the Sea. So it's honestly a little unclear to me whether I need to use Narset for anything. There might be some advantage to having her be able to survive a single zombie attack later. That's probably silly, though. Let's just use her. Alright, we found Demonic Pact, which I think interests me more than Thoughtseize now. I think it interests me more than Thoughtseize. So we get to hold up Negate, we get to hold up Omen, and we get to start hitting land drops, which is big. As long as we're hitting land drops, we're in amazing shape in this game. Opponent can cast Uro out of the yard, which eats all their other Uros, or at least makes it really hard for them to cast Uro again, and then we just trial it next turn casually. Well, can't argue with that, Jorg. Can't argue with that. And Llamas and card draw, ooh, that's super sweet. I do think As Foretold is one of those cards that needs to be explored a lot. That card gets much better the more cheap spells are in the format, and in that way it's going to be much better in an Eternal format like Historic than it would be in a format like Standard back when it was in play. Also, Standard was mono-red central back then, which probably also did not help As Foretold's chances. Huh. Opponent didn't cast anything, which makes me think they probably drew Ritual of Soot or Explore. They do have a lot of cards that Narset just legit turns off. Alright, definitely don't think we need Thought Erasure. Let's take this land, please. Give me more lands, please. Demonic Pact. Alright, so this turn we've got to just go for the... We're going to be holding up Negate forever because we are not allowed... Our opponent's not allowed to resolve an Ugin. We are just going to throw the trial down on Uro. So, opponent just hitting land drops eventually is going to be problematic. This one also generates a lot of zombies. Alright, well, if they have Golos or something, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's possible they were just... I don't think they would have held a land in hand, though, right? That would be weird. Okay, I guess they just sacked it in case maybe I'm running Ashiok or something? I don't really know. The other thing they could do now is Growth Spiral into 3 zombies at instant speed, which would be a concern, because it would turn Uro back on. We're not out of the woods by any means. This is still a lot of game to go. Oath of Kaya. I don't think I want this. It's okay at controlling small numbers of zombies. We already have 2 Trial of Ambition, though. My concern is not so much small numbers of zombies at this point. Okay, Thoughtseize. So... a couple of choices this turn. The ones that are reasonable are I could either put Yorion in my hand, Thoughtseize the opponent, hold up Negate, or I could Demonic Pact, hold up Negate. I think the answer is just to put Yorion in hand here, because that just makes my next turn incredibly explosive. If my opponent does have a Growth Spiral and they try to cast it now, I can negate it. Maelstrom Pulse, okay. Cool, that is a reasonable thing to put in your field deck. I'm glad we were able to hit that. So now I'm going to put Yorion in hand. If they have Thoughtseize next turn to stop Yorion, I can counter it. If they just play a land and make 3 zombies, then Yorion comes down, and we should be dominating the game thereafter. Alright, opponent's in zombie land. Still can't get a row back, which is nice. I would love a 7th land here. Perfect. Perfect. This has been an awesome game for getting really good draws. The 7th land basically means that I get to hold up negate still, which means my opponent can't top deck Ugin or Hour of Promise and really ruin my day here. We also get to reset Narset's Loyalty, which is just the bee's knees. My opponent's going to lose 2 zombies. That is the nice thing about Trial of Ambition, is as long as you have Yorion out, like, this card is not completely useless against field even when they're going off. It's like pretty bad, you still board them out, but it's not completely useless. I think I bottom Censor. I think I bottom this land drop at this point too. I'm really just looking for like Deputy of Detention and more counter spells to keep the game locked up. That's another counter spell, I'll keep that. Golos could still be scary if it gets Cascading Cataracts. But there's not much I can do about that, so I'm not going to worry too much about Golos here. We're just going to keep all the counter spells in. Nearly all of my opponent's draws should be dead at this point. Making 3 zombies at a time is pretty good, but it's not going to really be enough, especially since I could just grab Deputy Detention. And they've still got like a bunch of copies of Explore and Uro in their deck that are collectively pretty useless. So is there any instant speed card I could worry about that they could have here? I think on their turn, no. Growth Spiral is really the only thing that comes to mind, so I'm going to Cycle Censor, since this doesn't really counter anything at this point. I guess it counters Ulamog, technically, but... Huh. I don't think that's very reliable. Trophy, I guess, is a thing, but I don't think they're trophying anything that I really care about them trophying here. Narset, maybe, but that's kind of a whatever for me. Alright, so now we're starting to get to turns that are more complicated. Everything in my hand has an even mana cost. I should not have played this land out first. I should have thought about it a little more. I wasn't necessarily supposed to shock there. Check on the clocks. This has been kind of a long one. We've spent only 5 minutes so far? Wow. I feel like we've gotten to have a lot of fun in 5 minutes, chat. Alright, we've already got 2 demonic packs. I'm just going to take Oath of Kaya. We do have to actually kill our opponent at some point before they start drawing like Ulamogs or whatever. And one really good way to kill our opponent is to start jamming Oaths of Kaya in their face. So, could cast Atris, could cast Demonic Pact. I think I'm going to go for Demonic Pact here. It's like slightly more impactful, no pun intended. And we're going to hold up 2 negates. I only really need to hold up 1, I think, but I'm pretty happy holding up 2. Could attack with Yorion there since Narset's not going to die here, but I don't think it's worth the 4 damage at this moment to let Narset lose an activation. The other nice thing is if they do have Growth Spiral, I now get to negate Growth Spiral and then negate whatever they draw off the top. Alright, there it was. They did have it, so glad we held that up. Goodbye. You're not escaping the Stranglehold that easily, opponent. So one slightly dangerous thing they could do here would be like play a land and then play Uro out. That insulates their Uro from me blinking Trial of Ambition, but then I get to shoot the Uro with Demonic Pact and then kill it with Oath of Kaya, which is pretty nice. Sure is nice that we don't use our graveyard one little bit. Prove that. And they probably should go for Uro here. I think if they think they're going to kill Narset, they are doing a little bit of magical thinking there. Alright, so what to do? I think I would like to draw here. I could find Deputy, I could find more Yorions or Flickers, and those are all really good. Could also find 3 lands. 3 lands also confirmed fine. Oh my. Alright, this is a screenshot, chat. This is a screenshot. That's 80 card deck. 80 card deck, chat. We are going to Narset City. Take me on a trip. Screenshot. Absolutely amazing. All right. And now I'll take Narset. Okay. That was great. That was great, chat. So now I have to go back to thinking about this game. I can Oath a zombie. Play another Demonic Pact. I think I start by playing Narset out. Because I would like to hit a Flicker here. I still have 3 in my deck. It's a lot of copies of Flicker. There we go. Perfect. So now I get to go ahead and... I'm going to go ahead and Oath a zombie here. And then I'm going to attack with... Weird turn here, weird turn. So I could have... I'm basically planning to flicker Yorion. The question is, do I hold it back to block, so they have to send an extra zombie at Narset to guaranteed kill her, which means I'm not taking 2. No, I think this is when I actually start attacking my opponent here. And then on upkeep, I'm going to flicker Yorion before they could draw a counterspell or anything like that. Or do I? Maybe I don't. Maybe I wait and see what they draw first. If I flicker Yorion, I'm vulnerable to them drawing some kind of non-creature spell, but the best thing they could draw would be like Ugin. And if I've already flickered Yorion, then Ugin doesn't do anything. So I think I just end my turn. I'm going to flicker Yorion on upkeep here. Discard a Shockland, whatever. You can see here that Atris is not so necessary once you've got your combo going, which may be a reason to not have Atris in the deck. We'll see. Big risk here is that they hit like Hour of Promise, but they've already got all the Fields of the Dead in the world. And the main reason I'm doing this play here is that I do have a copy of... I do have 2 copies of Deputy Detention in my main deck, and so as long as I draw one of those, it really doesn't matter how many zombies they make. And I'm about to draw... I'm going to be able to look at like 12 cards. 12 cards is a lot of cards, especially with a bunch of non-deputies on the bottom of my deck. Piton, make them discard what? I'm afraid I don't follow. Hey there, Blasian Ninja. Alright, they found the Hour of Promise, so opponent's making a lot of zombies. They did, of course, immediately top deck this the second we turned our back. The good news is, so they're going to make a lot of zombies here. Obviously, this is a lot of zombies. We get to gain an absurd amount of life here, so we're not necessarily dead even if I don't find Deputy. I get 8 life off the Demonic Pact, or 4 life off the Demonic Pact. Basically, a lot of things are about to happen, chat. A lot of things are about to happen. Always make sure to stack the Oath of Kaya before the Trials of Ambition. Alright, Flicker of Fate seems good enough to keep here. I'm going to take 1 Flicker of Fate since that should keep me alive another turn. Past this, I am be looking for Deputy, though. So, actually, Eliminate kills Uro. I don't currently have another way to kill Uro, so I will take Eliminate. Llamas and card draw. We have Deputy Detention. Deputy Detention is our Wrath effect. So I'm going to draw 2 or kill a zombie. Let's kill a zombie here, I think. Okay, another non-deputy card. That's fine. So I kill Uro. I can flicker Yorion to get all this stuff back again, kill a few more zombies, draw a few more cards. I guess I should use Narset here in case I hit like another trial, since that would make the flicker better. Thought Erasure is not too helpful, take Eliminate. Probably play out the other Pact here. Actually, let's play out Atris first. Atris could hit me a Deputy Detention, which is really good. It's also a nice card to flicker. If I had a Deputy Detention, of course, I just win the game on the spot. Oh, 1 Deputy got bottomed. The Crazy 99, thanks for the follow. Okay, well, whatever this card is, it might be a Deputy. It's a Yorion, alright, that makes sense that our opponent would want to put that one away. I'm still just going to go for Eliminate Uro, Flicker Yorion, and... hold up Negate. Not that Negate does a ton here, since most of their non-creature spells are like... I guess Hour of Promise is still a good one to counter if I can. The other good news about this is I get to hold up and eliminate, so if my opponent sends just enough zombies at Narset to kill her, they're going to regret that decision very much. We're also starting to whittle down their life total a little bit since they can't keep Urowing me at this point. Can't forget Atris. So they could have some giant over-the-top spell to kill me. I'm not sure what that would even be, though. It's nice that my opponent has to spend about as much time resolving my triggers as I do. This has been a long one, though, so I gotta be a little careful. We'll keep killing zombies for now. Maybe I haven't even drawn half our deck yet, llamas. Calm down, calm down. We're gonna be fine. Okay. Throwing away more things that are not deputies. It's another Yorion, another Flicker. I actually think I bottom the Yorion at this point. I actually don't think it's that helpful. Oath of Kaya actually is kind of helpful since we do start to think about burning our opponent out here. I'll keep that. Like, at this point, we're drawing so many cards that I'm not even super worried about finding the deputy. I think we're just going to get there in the end. And then discard-wise, I'm going to dump Shrine, Swamp, second Atris. Actually, I'd probably keep Atris, dump Censor. We'll just dump Chapel. Alright, I'll dump one Pact. I don't know. Kind of arbitrary at this point. Most Evilest Wizard, yeah, I found that Prince just got killed a lot. Like, it was a big removal magnet, which was disappointing. And while it is a little bit better of a card than Flicker on its face, it is nice to have a 2-2. And, like, the ability to, like, you know, make a 2-2 gain 3 life on turn 2 against Aggro is nothing to sneeze at, but Flicker being able to bounce stuff like Oath of Kaya, Demonic Pact. I just wanted as many copies of this card as possible, and this and Charming Prince tended to together lead to a few too many hands that just didn't really do much. Okay, opponent's doing the smart thing and just sending every zombie at Narset, recognizing that Narset is the important card here. So I could Flicker Yorion to save Narset, which would be kind of funny. I guess I should just do that, right? Yeah, I should just do that, I think. They can draw a card at that point, but it's also just like we then get to draw our whole deck again. The only real risk is if they kill Yorion in response with whatever removal spell they just drew, but I think they probably have very low amounts of instant speed single target removal in their deck. Just a feeling I have. So yeah. Also, we don't really need Charming Prince. It's like, yeah, we don't have an infinite loop going, but does it really matter? Yeah, no negate. But, I mean, what are they going to cast here that I would have to negate? I will pick off one of the zombies since it's free. The rest of them are just not going to hit anything. They're not hitting me. They were attacking a Planeswalker that disappeared. You know, like, the scariest thing my opponent could possibly hit would be, like, Ugin, and Ugin doesn't do anything because all my stuff comes back at the end of the turn. I can just kill Ugin with, you know, Demonic Pact triggers if I want to. Okay, they'd had the Ugin, but I legit don't care. It can kill Yorion. It's the best thing Ugin can do here. Sure, whatever. Yeah, Flicker of Fate protecting your stuff from Ugin is also just absolutely awesome. Like, we could have done this in response to Ugin if we hadn't had a negate, for example. So what am I shooting down? Oh yeah, so Atris just gets to attack Ugin, so I'm going to shoot Ugin with the Oath here. And then that combined with the Demonic Pact trigger just kills it, so we don't have to worry about it. We have a Yorion anyway, so we don't really need to worry about it too much, but might as well just take care of things efficiently and not spend as much time making decisions. Always take the pile that doesn't have a deputy in case it has a deputy. We do need to find a deputy at some point. We have them in our deck. They'll show up eventually. I think that this game is also a pretty good example of why you don't super need Massacre Worm. Like, you will just kill your opponent eventually, even without it. Geez, where are the deputies? Did I forget to put them in the main or something? Huh. I also see we got 150 people watching this crazy game 1. This is still game 1, so thanks everybody for showing up. Really good to have y'all. Actually, I'm just going to draw 2 cards here. I can just kill this Ugin with more Oaths, and I really want to find a deputy so I can just, like, call an end to the game. Still no, huh? We did bottom one, I guess, at some point. We'll get to it pretty soon at this rate. So I'm going to jam... Okay, so we'll start with Oath of Kaya, shoot Ugin, then attack Ugin with Atris just to take care of that problem. Do things kind of one thing at a time here. How many cards in the opponent's deck? 34? Oh, they're being really slow as far as, like, doing things. Yeah, consideration, I mean, activating Narset, if anything, gets us to the deputy faster, since we know there's one, like, near the bottom of our deck. Like, I don't think it actually decreases the amount of time, like, changes the amount of time it takes to get to a deputy on average. Still pretty happy just going Yorion here. Actually, I should have activated Narset if I was going to play Yorion. That was silly, but whatever. We're going to win the game here. It's pretty obvious how we're going to win the game. It's just a matter of taking all the game actions. We can still just activate Narset. We're just going to hold negate at this point. There's nothing I worry about my opponent doing. Llamas, when I was about 11 years old. 11 or 12, so long, long time ago. So at this point, we actually have to worry a little bit about milling. I don't want to go too crazy, but we have so much burn in hand, plus Yorion attacks, that we shouldn't really have to worry about it. Yep, it's a lot of value geneticist. Alright, we finally hit a deputy. Opponent finally knows what's up. A little late. Alright, so now let's take Oath of Kaya because it's more burn spells. More burn is good. We are going to base... I think we've certainly seen our whole deck at this point. We're probably not going to be able to draw the whole deck this game. Another Yorion's great, it's just more damage. And we're just going to start discarding everything that's not negate or a burn spell, since this is that stage of the game. We're going to get rid of eliminate. Hey. Oh wait, it's like the end of my turn here. Alright, missed that for a second. Alright, Arch of Orazka. Cute, that'll help. I'm sure that this one card is going to be the card you need, opponent. So we admittedly don't have a flicker at the moment, so something like Thoughtseize and Ugin being the top two cards of their deck could get us. But that's just really unlikely. Alright, so now we're going to discard. Eliminate. Vetted Pools. Thoughtseize. Campaign, Trial. Atris, and... Glacial Fortress, whatever. Okay. I guess what we really need is like a Reliquary Tower in this deck somewhere, huh, chat? Maximum hand size thing is costing me time. We have now consumed half our time, so if our opponent is starting to win the second game quickly, we're going to concede to make sure we have time for the third. And I'm sort of maybe not killing them as fast as I could be at this point. They could be dead by now. An Extinction Event, I'm going to allow that. That doesn't really do anything. It gets rid of Yorion, which I don't care about. Not worth burning a negate on that. Most Evilest Wizard. Yeah, the Archons were just too slow against Field of the Dead. Like, what the hell is turn 4, play a 3/4 against Field of the Dead? It was nothing. Like, those cards need to be more disruption, or they need to be like more ways to like actually find answers to my opponent's stuff. So we have a negate, so if they try to Growth Spiral, ambush Atris, it's not really going to work. I'm just going to hit them for as much damage as I can here. So they go to 11. Cast another Demonic Pact. Cast a Yorion. Keep up Negate. Flicker Oath. Flicker both Pacts. And that should pretty much close things out, I think. They would again need like exactly Ugin plus Negate here. Ugin plus Thoughtseize to do the trick. Okay, is that everything? That's not the Omens. I'll bounce the Omens too. Oh, I forgot to bounce Atris. That's fine. It's whatever. We'll activate Narset, since if I get another counter spell, we might be able to work past a Thoughtseize. Whatever. Alright, there are the Narsets we saw before, so we now know we've looped through. And everything goes at your face, opponent. You no longer have creatures for me to worry about. Everything just goes at your face. There are 8. Oath of Kaya takes them to a virtual smaller life total. Alright, Deputy Detention. I don't actually know if I have any relevant cards left in my deck. I'm just going to not bother to filter at this point since time's a concern. I'm just going to click Done. They're all the deputies. That's where they were living. It's a little annoying. I could have thrown more burn at my opponent's face if I had more deputies faster, but it's cool. It's fine. And I'll just discard Deputy Fetid Pools. Alright, you got Ugin plus Negate here. Or are you dying to these pacts? Ooh, Blast Zone. If they had a Blast Zone earlier, they could have killed Demonic Pact at some point, which would have been annoying, but it would have, wouldn't have mattered. I had all my pacts here. So it seems like they're just dead. And it did take 16 minutes, though, so we gotta be careful with the clock. Llamas and card draw. Demonic Pact is incredibly worth it. What do you mean, not game-winning value? Demonic Pact drew me like 8 cards this game, took several cards from my opponent, and was the reason we were able to kill them. Demonic Pact is sort of the card the whole deck is oriented around. It's very, very strong. Okay, so that was a game. Cut, eliminate, add Ashiok. Ashiok's another way to kill our opponent a little faster if we're doing the flicker thing. Add vetoes, add negates. Cutting some number of trials, probably all of them. I haven't really thought this through enough. Bring in Deputy. Yeah, between 4 Narset and 2 Ashiok, I don't think I really need the cages in this matchup. Trial was a bit helpful there, but the thing is we just like stop them from getting nearly as many zombies in this matchup. Deputy being in the deck in higher numbers means I shouldn't need those, and then Censor is the obvious weak link, it just doesn't counter anything very efficiently. So our opponent could weave around us with Golos. Golos does get through all of our counter magic, and that's probably a reason I should throw in a couple of Disdainful Stroke to the deck, instead of just like 4 veto, 2 negate. That's like leaving a hole. Yelam's a card draw, but without Pact, Yorion does not go over the top nearly as easily. That was also a pretty extreme game. That's like roughly as many cards as I've ever drawn in the course of killing someone. A lot of games are much tighter. Like you saw that blue-white control match we played at the start of the stream, right? The blue-white control match, we absolutely ranched our opponent with 2 Pacts, and I don't think any other single card would have done nearly the same thing that Pact did there. And yeah, I've died to him a couple times, but the question is like, how often do you die to it versus how often do you win the game? Remember, the easiest way to die to your own magic cards is if your magic cards suck. Demonic Pact is risky, but it doesn't suck. Alright, this hand is turn 3 Narset, but nothing else. Our opponent did mulligan. I'm going to mulligan too. This is 2 deputies, 2... Alright, well this is really bad. But this is fine. If we mull to 5 and our 5 sucks, we can just give up and move to the game 3. I don't think that first hand was a keep. I think it's a little too risky to have nothing to do for the first 3 turns against them, since that lets them set up like completely freely for Hour of Promise with me being able to do nothing about it. Okay, this hand is medium. Does stop some of their stuff a little bit. It's like, I'll hold on to it for like a couple turns, because if we draw some way to make card draw happen, we could do pretty well here. Demonic Pact, alright. Demonic Pact gives us a good shot, so we'll try this, but I am again willing to concede pretty fast if things start going off the rails. Okay, opponent correctly plays their Growth Spiral Sorcery Speed. Absolutely the right move there. No Thoughtseize. Alright, Narset's also a really good pickup, so I'm going to play that. And the question is, am I going to Narset on turn 3? If they have a 4th land at the end of this turn, then Narset on turn 3 lets them get off Hour of Promise, which could kill me. If they don't have Hour of Promise, Narset could just win the game. I think it's probably a little too risky, but we'll see. It may depend on if I hit a land drop. As long as if I can keep hitting land drops, it's fine to hold off on Narset and hold up all my counterspells. Demonic Pact again. Okay, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to go for Narset here. If they play Hour of Promise, I'll lose, and that's just that. But I think just kind of holding on to my cards forever isn't really going to win the game here. So let's see if they can get me. I will concede to Hour of Promise unless I immediately draw a Deputy Detention here. Okay, there it is. Alright, so I'm just going to scoop to that, actually. So, part of that was just time concerns. I think if I hadn't been under time pressure, I might have just kept the Narset up and held the counterspells, but of course that's not a great strategy and it's fielded anyway. So here we're just going to try and draw more lands, keep a 7 card. Funny MTG and DeZero, thanks for the follow. Sorry I missed you there for a little bit. Alright, so you see the difference between field and our deck. Takes a little less time to win with field. But again, we mulled to 5 on the draw, so there's not a lot you can do in those scenarios. One thing I am a little sad about with this deck is how much play draw matters. I'm used to playing Teamer Clover, and Teamer Clover, fun fact about that deck, whenever I played that deck on ladder, it's had like an equal win percentage play draw, like, or so close as to be indistinguishable. Completely bizarre. I don't think that could actually be true, that it's better on the draw, or like equally good on the draw. That's never how Magic works, but somehow, I don't know, maybe it's just the higher percentage of turn clovers makes up the difference. Ligaros, thanks for the follow. MTG Flutter, I would say probably building Field of the Dead is wise if you just want to play a deck that can win a bunch of games. Field of the Dead or Mono Red, if you're familiar with playing Mono Red in Standard, then Mono Red in Historic is not so different and is a pretty good deck too. if your only concern is just like building a deck that can win you some games. Mono red is, I think, more wild cards than Field of the Dead, maybe? Depends on which build you're doing of each. Kunit, I've played a lot of Clover in my life. Right now I'm preparing for an enormous, many thousands of dollars tournament that comes up in a couple weeks, the Mythic Invitational. And so I'm really trying to find a good historic deck I like for that tournament. That's my main concern here. Alright, this hand's a keep. Very awkward that we don't have double blue, I will note, so we can't necessarily cast Narset on 3, but I still think having both Ashiok and Narset's really strong. Ashiok turns off our opponent's 2 best cards against us, Hour of Promise and Uro. DK Madness, thanks for the follow. I was probably just sweating because of how the game was going. Alright, Yorion is not outstanding. We'll just play our Shock land here. Yeah, Clover will be waiting for me later. We also, Clover doesn't rotate. We've got years to play Clover. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, MTG Flutter, I mean, this is what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to prove that Esper Control is actually capable of going toe-to-toe with Field. It is rough, you know, you're even going to lose some games to your own mana base, let alone everything else they're doing, but I'm going to cast an Ashiok here. It's going to turn off some of the cards in their deck, or I'm going to cast a Narset and turn off even more of the cards in their deck. Flicker of Fate. Okay, well, I guess one thing I could do is just flicker... Well, I can't flicker Ashiok, sadly. I can Yorion Ashiok. We're going to start milling immediately. One of the potential win conditions for this game is just going to be removing every card from my opponent's deck. I have Deputy to defend Ashiok, so it's going to take him a while to kill this. Probably the best way to kill it is like actual factual Ugin. But it should take them a little while to start making zombies, maybe. They also have, 8 copies of Explorer in their deck, so we'll see. Alright, looks like they're going to be going for the Turbo Field play. Also, adding Explorer to this format was a bad idea. I understand that it was probably, the decision was made long before Growth Spiral was banned, but still just kind of an atrocious idea. Thoughtseize I don't mind. Thoughtseize is not a unique land. Spinzanti. Esper Yorion has some vulnerabilities. I would say that Mono Blue is probably the single deck in the ladder that scares me the most right now. Like, any strong proactive deck can fight Esper Yorion toe-to-toe. Like, Citadel Company decks are probably a fine choice. I think maybe I'm slightly favored, but it all depends on what sideboard I'm running at that point. But Mono Blue scares me the most. I just have a limited amount of cheap removal. Mono Blue is very good at dealing with, like, big, lumpy control decks like mine. Alright, Negate's a fantastic draw. I love that one. So, what I'm going to do here, I think... Alright, they have Hydroid Krasis in their deck. That's scary. Do I put Yorion in my hand? I don't really think I do. I think I'm just going to hold Negate and try to delay them from getting zombies here. What percent of the meta should you expect Field to be? Definitely not that percent of the field. Hey, Jord! Thanks for passing forward your gift sub. And sharing emotes. That's really awesome to see. Alright, and now y'all see the problem with Flicker of Fate, chat. Flicker of Fate is an incredibly awkward card. Sometimes. It's down to 34 cards in library. We do have Deputy. If we draw one more land, then Deputy plus Flicker is going to stall the zombies for a long time. But I'm going to be able to actually cast Yorion safely to reset this Ashiok before I can actually kill my opponent. So, odds are... This is just like a weird game. We kind of just, like, hit a whole bunch of cards that didn't do very much. Alright, there, finally we get ourselves a nice land. I would be completely unsurprised here if my opponent's plan was to play a Growth Spiral end of turn and then kill Ashiok with that. But what we can do is just play Yorion to flicker it, so that should be fine. That plan is super vulnerable to Ugin coming down, but we can't really stop Ugin, so there's not much point in thinking about him. We get 2 casualties of war. I guess it's worth noting their Gigantha is out of their command zone now. Yeah, so I'm going to play Yorion here. We're going to flicker Ashiok. We're going to hope that they have his Growth Spiral and not Ugin. We can beat Growth Spiral. We can't beat Ugin right now. Oh, God. All right, Growth Spiral into Fabled Passage is pretty miserable, though. So now Ashiok's going to die, and that means we... Well, again, if they don't have Ugin, we have a chance. We can kill a lot of zombies. We can kill a lot of zombies. But yeah, this is the problem. Like we hit some of the pieces, but not enough of the pieces. Like we had the Ashiok, we didn't have the discard spells, we didn't have the card draw. Wow, they didn't crack. Oh, they can't crack passage, right? We have an Ashiok. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, and that means they don't have the 8th land for their Ugin either necessarily. So we get to start milling them some more, which is really cool. Arch of Orazka is like fine. Go ahead and draw more cards from your deck. See if I care. And now we have Flicker of Fate Yorion, which actually flickers both Ashiok and Deputy, which is really neat. And gets them out of the way of Ugin. So Ugin's a card we can beat. Maelstrom Pulse and Ashiok would be pretty bad, but we've got ourselves a chance. Yeah. When we blinked Ashiok, they could have, and I think they just missed that, which is really good for us, of course. Not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. Okay, another field, a Tamio. Tamio would not have helped them much there. Guess I'll just go ahead, play Deputy, eat some zombies, hit our opponent with Yorion, since we can flicker it anyway. Wanted to see first if this got countered or something, since that would have affected my decision whether to attack with Yorion. Maybe. I guess probably not, but whatever. All right, now if they flicker passage, it doesn't actually matter that much, because, or if they try to do passage things to me, it doesn't really matter that much. Because we'll just eat all their zombies when Deputy comes back in, so that's fine. Uh-oh, 2 Explorers. No Ugins. Opponent, you're going to mail out. Be careful, opponent. All right, Blast Zone does let them kill a Ashiok, but is it going to be fast enough? Legit uncertain. All right, so do I blink Yorion here yet? No, the time to do that would be in response to Blast Zone, right? No, I actually need to clear these zombies so I can attack safely. So I am going to flicker, because I have 2 flickers, I'm going to flicker Yorion now. They can use their Fabled Passage while Ashiok is out, but that doesn't really matter, because we'll just eat all the zombies when Deputy comes back in. So I think resetting the loyalty is worth it. And sorry, chat, if I'm not paying much attention here. We are a little down. You know, we have 10 minutes left, and it's a really tense game here. What's this deck we're talking about that has like Thassa's Oracle or Tef's Wincon? Hey, Ecthelion! Thanks for the follow. Thoughtseize. Alright, might as well. What's going on? What's going on there, opponent? Suck it, Field of the Dead. Suck it! Opponent down to 15 cards. I'm going to throw Yorion in my hand because I can. Might as well attack with Deputy, because hitting them with Deputy puts them 1 point closer to being dead to Yorion, which is like another thing I have to think about. Turbo Fog, yes. I assume that Turbo Fog probably beats the snot out of Field of the Dead, while I assume being completely bereft to Citadel, although I don't know, maybe you can play some other stuff in that deck that works. So, of course, if the opponent was actually going to be able to kill Ashiok this turn, they'd be in pretty reasonable shape. But unless they draw Thoughtseize here exactly, they're not going to be able to kill Ashiok. They're going to sack this Blast Zone. I'm going to flicker Yorion. I guess a counterspell would also work, but if they have a counterspell for this, we still just get to attack them twice with Yorion, and that's like not an easy thing for them to stop either, because they have no graveyard and no arrows. Get flickered. Tail's End. Got the Tail's End opponent. They can cast Our Promise, I guess, which is a little awkward, but if they put 2 lands into play, they have a field exiled already, and we get a Deputy back, so their zombies don't do anything, and then they're down to 12 cards in library. Ashiok makes that 8. Like, they can gain a life? Yeah, they realize there's just no way they're beating Ashiok, so that's game. Great. That was a pretty good-looking Field of the Dead build, and the game we didn't mulligan to 5, we destroyed them utterly. Whew, Deputy Detention. Good Magic card. Bad Magic card in so many different formats, good Magic card here. Well, I guess it's fine in Modern too, honestly. Just solid. Sorry, Deputy. I didn't mean to say mean things about you. Goodness, that was something. A bit of work, Mausch, but that's how you get to the top of the ladder. Alright, well, wouldn't mind seeing more field. It's a deck I still have to test against, but ideally we're seeing a wide range of things. I feel like it's better than a 50% chance that field today gets banned before the Mythic Invitational. It's always impossible to predict this sort of thing with any certainty, but no, I'm expecting I might be tweaking the deck a bunch if field gets banned. But that's one reason I like the Esper deck is that it's not super meta dependent. It's like a collection of good cards that work well together, and I think you can tweak it to be strong against almost any metagame, unless Mono Blue becomes the reigning champion deck. But there are always going to be things that can like outpace us and take advantage of how slow and inconsistent we are. This hand, how good is double Thoughtseize? That depends. And is kind of poop soup, actually. It's like good if they're aggro, but double oath means that even if this is field, we're just dead. Such a weird hand. I feel like I shouldn't. I just think we need to draw such a consistent. Like, if we don't hit lands, we die. If our opponent's just playing Field of the Dead, we die. I think it's actually a mulligan. Yeah, this hand is better. This has a source of card advantage, a source of disruption, 2 sources of disruption. It's like... yeah, this hand is much better than the 7. It's goblins. Okay, well, never mind. We have a dead card in our hand, and that card is Negate. Maybe a Disdainful Stroke is just the main deck counterspell. I don't know. Anyway, we see Matron, Snoop, Muxus. Guess we take Snoop. Probably not beating this draw. They do have the extremely awkward... alright, I was going to say the extremely awkward combination of Castle Embereth and Clifftop Retreat. Turns out, actually, that 2 Thoughtseize and 2 Oath of Kaya might have been amazing against this draw. Alright, we hit the land drop, which is good. It means we are going to be able to cast Demonic Pact on time. Do I cast Trial of Ambition now? Or do I just put Yorion into my hand? Trial of Ambition really doesn't slow down Muxus at all. I'm just going to put Yorion in my hand here. I think just being able to reset Demonic Pact to discard cards twice in a row might be the way we beat Muxus here. Okay, so Matron. I'm curious to see if this fetches another Muxus or if it just fetches... okay, Goblin Chieftain. That's actually not that bad. We can kill that with Demonic Pact. But I really don't want to see a Skirk Prospector. Skirk Prospector would screw me up royally. So we Pact. Opponent can't disrupt Yorion or Pact at all, so we are going to be able to safely blink this at some point. The question is just, are we getting enough value from this to stop from dying to Muxus? Yeah, I need to put some Disdainful Strokes in the sideboard. Alright, Skirk Prospector, are we just going to Muxus now? If the opponent just, like, throws off the Muxus now, that gives us a chance if they just have a terrible Muxus. Alright, they go for it. And they keep Prospector, so they are going to be able to cast Chieftain if they hit enough Goblins here. We're probably dead. Wow, alright. The Muxus just came into play attacking. I love that. That's extremely cute. Alright, but we've still got a game on our hands here. So we get to shoot Muxus. It's huge. I need to kill it. Opponent gets to sack it. Opponent forgot to sack it to Prospector, so we gain life we didn't have to gain there. And now I get to cast 2 copies of Trial of Ambition, which means we don't die to Chieftain. We almost died to Chieftain, but not... oh, we do die to Chieftain and this, right? I can't stop that. Omen could find me Thought Erasure to kill Chieftain, and then we just die to Instigator. Alright, never mind. It wasn't enough anyway. Wasn't enough anyway. Awkward. Alright, so yeah, mulliganed and had an absolutely dead card in her hand that did nothing against the Goblins deck, and that's how you die to Goblins. We do have a sideboard for this, though. We cut Narset, because Narset is poop soup against Goblins, and what else are the cuts here? The discard's fine, the eliminates are fine, the trials are solid. Might just be Atris. One risk against Goblins is if you don't have some form of card advantage, you tend to be in trouble. Could be a Flicker. Yeah, maybe it's just like a Flicker and a Censor or something like that. It's nice having more actual counterspells that can hit a Muxus, but they do tend to make like unpredictable amounts of mana. I'll stick with that. But yeah, this is an example, right? It's like we've made all these weird tweaks to our deck to adjust for Field of Dead being a huge percentage of the metagame, and that means we have some cards that are just absolutely dead against goblins. They do nothing. And yeah, this hand, I'll try it. I'll try it. There are a bunch of I have a bunch of untapped lands I could draw that make this hand very good. Possible I should mull here. Might be slightly tilted from the last game still. Yep, Meme Lord, that's a thing. I just could not find room for board sweepers. They are just not good enough against... They are not good against a high enough percentage of the meta that it feels really risky to actually run them. This has been my experience. So most of the opponent's 2-drops we can sweep up with Deputy. If they have Wily Goblin, we can kill the Treasure. Deputy actually has a lot of use against goblins, which is cool. What I'd be looking for ideally with them would be like a discard spell would be nice. Removal's also nice. Do I just take both here? I think not. I really want to cast Demonic Pact on turn 4. So I really don't want to be missing land drops here. Grafdigger's Cage is excellent. Love that one. So I think the plan here is Thoughtseize, and then we're probably just going to flicker the Omen to make sure we can hit Demonic Pact on time. Let's see what's in the Goblin player's hand. Luminous Broodmoth, Krenko. Alright, I guess our opponent's doing this version, huh? The Clifftop Retreats probably should have clued me in. Guess I'm taking Krenko, because it's slightly awkward if they hit like a haste creature. Grafdigger's Cage completely turns off Luminous Broodmoth, and so my opponent's going to be trying to beat me with 3/4 flyers. Which does not strike me as a very reliable strategy. Yeah, Flicker of Fate, you can see how this is like better than Charming Prince here. I love just getting another Omen. Alright, and Oath of Kaya, honestly, we don't really need this right now. I'm pretty happy just hitting this land drop and then trying to hit my 5th land drop reliably for Yorion. Like, yeah, this is all great. Let's just play Demonic Pact. Opponent could actually have some kind of enchantment removal since they are playing white, but let's see it. And then once we cast Grafdigger's Cage, we got Muxus covered, and that should be approximately everything. Alright, Goblin Ruin Blaster is annoying, but hey, that's another good reason to keep prioritizing hitting land drops. This card could have been pretty bad for us, and instead we shrug it off. I'm going to go for the opponent discarding 2 cards here. If they want to cast Muxus, they are going to need these lands at some point. I don't mind getting rid of some stuff. Heartless Act is cool. Let's see, what do I want to do this turn? Pretty sure the answer is just cast Cage, hold up Heartless Act. I think that's it. I'm not going to take the 2 damage. We're going to get this into play to stop any Muxus shenanigans. Love this card. Okay, Broodmoth is in. I can just Heartless Act that thing. It's whatever. Nice animation, very cute. Of course, Grafdigger's Cage means the other stuff doesn't come back, but I'm just going to kill the 3-power creature instead of the 2-power creature here. Next turn, I'm just going to draw 2 cards with Pact instead of killing something. So I can most reliably cast Yorion. Great, perfect. Another Pact. Alright, so I guess the other thing I could do is just get another Pact going this turn. The odds the opponent's playing Thoughtseize in their deck are 0, I think. I think the odds are just 0. They shouldn't have a way to counter Yorion. And if they do, congratulations to them. I guess they could go like Mountain, Goblin Chieftain would kill me. Conspicuous Snoop doesn't kill me. Yeah, I should have maybe thought more about like Mountain, Goblin Chieftain, but whatever. I'm going to take out the Snoop, and then I'm going to make them discard their last 2 cards, and then we're going to win the game. Yeah, Demonic Pact getting you to your land drops you need for Yorion is just amazing. And then we have to win the harder game, the one that happens on the draw, and with our opponent presumably keeping a better hand than lands and 4-drops, which really did seem to be their whole hand that game. Very confusing. Okay, so Luminous Broodmoth. Does that change anything? I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Censor... I don't know if this gains or loses value on the draw. Still pretty happy with this build. Could maybe dump some campaigns to just have a little bit more early interaction. Yeah, I think I'm pretty down for that, actually. Especially since Censor can just, like, filter through my deck if need be. Glad y'all are having a fun conversation about Turbo Fog as we play this match. What's up, Hot Dog MTG? I did actually build that deck, of course, to no one's surprise. Well, keep this. Dump. Swamp, I guess? Alright, so we're going to really hope our opponent's hand leans really hard on hitting things on curve that cost more than 2 mana. Skirk Prospector makes Censor very bad, which is one reason that I was a little iffy about playing the card. Anyway, yeah, I played Orzhov version and lost a field at like 4 matches in a row. It just felt like without Narset as like a control card, it was just way too hard to get them. And yeah, unfortunately, Censor probably not going to do much against goblins. And yeah, this is the problem. Like we tried and our hand just lined up really poorly. We had no removal. Maybe we get him with this. Maybe we get him with this. All right, well, Censor is going to achieve making our opponent sack a treasure token. So frankly, I think we just have to start cycling and try to hit removal spells or we die. Thought Erasure. Yeah, a little slow, a little slow. If I had cycled Censor on turn 1, I could have hit Thought Erasure. So it's actually likely that was a punt and I should have tried to do that. Yeah, probably screwed that one up. Hallowed Fountain is solid, I guess. Means I could draw it with Kaya, I guess. We're going to Thought Erasure them and pray to draw it with Kaya. Pray they don't have too much action going on. That's a good amount of action, unfortunately. Take Snoop as it's the highest powered card. Dumped Glacial Fortress, but yeah, we're probably dead even with Oath of Kaya off the top and no other card comes close. Yeah, I really hate Censor, chat. I would love to find a better card to play in the deck than Censor, and it's just been hard to do. This format is just such a messed up pile of nonsense. And even Oath of Kaya really shouldn't rescue me because my opponent should remember to... Oh, wow. Oh, okay, well, opponent not taking much of a risk with this, though. Almost certain that kills us. Yep, unsurprisingly, we have died. Guess we should have held up Censor, chat. Guess we should have held up Censor. Alright, well, that was goblins. Boy, I really wish we could find a better... Maybe it's just Cry of the Carnarium. Not main deck, but... It's like okay against the field decks. There are some matchups where it's quite bad, namely the control matchups, but those are rare enough I might be okay just having fewer cards for that. Like, I don't mind having board wipes. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to have in your sideboard. It's just finding room. Do I have anything like general purpose in my sideboard that could kind of just come in? I could bring in a 4th Trial, maybe? Has some application against the zombie deck, the goblin, or the Field of the Dead decks. Get a little bit of master removal, could bring in a Deputy as well. Deputy works against most things to some degree. Can we remove Censor completely? I want these negates to be disdainful strokes, right? Probably. Still hits enough cards in the big decks. Is dead in another range of matchups, of course. So, honestly, negate's better. Goblins is a deck, but it's like pretty rare. Pretty rare deck. How do I get rid of the rest of the Censors? Could just play some other 2-mana counterspell that covers like a different range of things. Maybe that's the secret. Just like run some strokes in this slot, or some Quenches even. Maybe Quench is just fine. Like, how often is somebody going to hold up 2 mana, really? Really? Thought Erasure. 3rd Thought Erasure is actually a pretty good one. So we're going to be trying Censorless Yorion. 4th Flicker is a little much. Even 3 is kind of pushing it. I don't think we want the 4th. 3rd Negate could be a card. Could do, like, I guess Essence Scatter at least hits Burrow. Maybe Syncopate's the thing. Syncopate a little better than Censor. Obviously no better than Censor in that last game. A little better in some spots, a little worse in others. Oh, 3rd Deputy. We're just going to do 3rd Deputy, right? Okay, that's the plan then. 6 2-mana removal spells. A lot of Deputies, but Deputy's okay in enough matchups, I think. And then I get to fill in some more strokes. And you might be confused about the veto negate split. My thinking is basically that decks that have main deck counterspells are quite rare in this format, especially decks that are using their main deck counterspells to protect their own spells. And so I'm pretty happy having negate as like a slightly easier to cast Dovin's Veto, but Dovin's Veto comes in a lot of matchups where people are either bringing in cards like Mystical Dispute or are just running a bunch of counters in their deck generally. It seems more useful in the post-sideboard games. That might just be nonsense reasoning, but it is the reasoning I'm using. Alright, so let's bring in a couple of copies of Karai. Karn. This versus Languish is tricky. Basically, Languish is slightly better against Goblins. Well, Cry is actually slightly better against Goblins because it's cheaper. Cry is better against, like, Rakdos Pyromancer. It's better against Mono Blue. It's better against... Probably better against the Citadel decks. It doesn't hit Mayhem Devil, but the Mayhem Devil versions are pretty rare these days. Yeah, it's actually just better than Languish. I convinced myself very easily there. Okay. Yep. You can see how hard it is, right? Like, I'm like, darn it, I'm like 4 cards short of having a perfectly functional main deck, and the 4 cards are Teferi Time Raveler. Yeah, so it's Cry, Languish, and Wrath all have their advantages. I honestly think Languish might be a little better than Wrath. Like, how often do you see creatures with 5 toughness or more, compared to how often do you see the card like Adanto Vanguard, or Seasoned Blade, or various other things that can be protected from destruction? Hand is real slow. Kahira the Orphan Guard tells me this is almost certainly a control deck. I'm going to keep. If this turns out to be Kahira Cats, then I'm dead. But my suspicion is it's something like Blue-White Control or whatever. Definitely going to sack Fabled Passage here to just thin out the old deck a little bit, and I guess I'll get a blue source. Sacking Fabled Passage there because some people do play main deck Tail's End. I have seen in Historic. No reason to get gotten by that. And Rubido, definitely not Settle the Wreckage. Settle the Wreckage is incredibly easy to play around, and against Field of the Dead, it just gives them more zombies to make up for the zombies that you were killing. It's like not good karma. Alright, so if the opponent plays Narset, we can answer with Oath of Kaya. If they follow up with like Teferi 4, I can answer that with Atris, so that's all well and good. And if they want to sit here and have a counterspell battle, I can just put Yorion in my hand and like draw a card for free this turn, which is also pretty good. Demonic Pact, sure. I guess I'm at 7 cards in hand, so putting Yorion in my hand is not actually free. I have to discard a land. Does that mean I should run out in Narset because I can resolve Atris next turn? Or Demonic Pact? Demonic Pact's very risky in this match, so I don't want to try going for that too early. I also just cast Oath of Kaya. It like gets me something on board to blink with Yorion later. I actually like that. Let's do Oath of Kaya. Let's make them think I have like nothing to do here. And see if I basically just they have a counter for sure here. I'd rather just resolve a pretty unimportant spell. Alright, let's get my other island here, I think. Got plenty of white sources here. Kiddo, you can find my decks by just hitting !decks or deck. Alright, so opponent is very resolutely not putting down counter spells, so this tells me they probably just got Teferi, which is a little awkward. My hand's just full of expensive garbage. So if they just like have a counterspell this turn and then they just play Teferi next turn and have a counterspell to back it up, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. I think the thing I try to resolve here is Atris. It doesn't kill me slowly like Demonic Pact does. It gets through Dovin's Veto. In case that's the only counter they have for some reason. Wow, it resolved. Okay, that's good. It can be killed, but not at instant speed by a blue-white deck. I'm really shocked that resolved, actually. Amplexus Fatum, thanks for the follow. Double Glacial Fortress. Normally you should just take the 2 cards in this matchup every time. I think I'm actually in for the 1 here. Another Demonic Pact. Alright, I wish I had taken the Glacial Fortresses. I was really hoping this would be a Thoughtseize. The sooner I can start casting 2 spells a turn, the better off I'm gonna be. No Teferi. Alright, opponent's just having a slow day over there. So I'm gonna attack with Atris here. If they try to like hit it with a Seal Away or something, I can flicker it. If they then counter the flicker, I can cast Narset. And I think rather than Narset, I'm going to go for Campaign this turn. Again, just trying to save the more important spells for later, since I do think they have counters in there somewhere. They must. I have this bad feeling that's going to happen this game is they're just going to untap and cast Dream Trawler next turn and I'm going to die. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. Alright, Seal Away hitting Atris. So, sure, gonna let that resolve, gonna try to flicker Atris, and if they counter the flicker, hopefully it lets me resolve a Narset, and then from there we've really got a stew going. Oh, the second Seal Away, okay. Well, we did give our opponent, that is a problem with Atris, we gave the opponent an excuse to get all the bad cards out of their hand. Does mean the Deputy Attention now gives me back an Atris, which is kind of nice. Ooh, Negate. Negate is fantastic. Huh. Alright, I think I'm ready to Demonic Pact here. The fact that this card takes all the cards out of my opponent's hand, I think means it's not too risky. There's not too much of a risk of me not being able to do something with it. Opponent cycles cast out. They could have used that to try to resolve Demonic Pact, so that's an awfully confident move, opponent. Elspeth Conquers Death. That makes sense. How about not? No Mandic Dispute? No Mandic Dispute, please. Just Mandic Censors and cast out so you can cycle for 1 mana? Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Yum, 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 delicioso. And we're just going to take 2 of their cards right now. Because this is going to be a turn that I'm doing proactive stuff, like playing Narset and putting Yorion in my hand. What a weird... I can't believe they didn't counter Atris. I guess they just had like Seal Away, Cast Out or something in hand? Completely perplexing. Okay, Trial of Ambition is a blank against their deck, but whatever. So plan is, we basically just cast a second Demonic Pact next turn. The second Demonic Pact is going to take 2 more cards out of their hand the next upkeep, and unless they're incredibly disciplined about keeping counterspells in their hand, we're going to crush them. It seems like my opponent may not have been incredibly disciplined at keeping counterspells in hand, which means they just get to cast Yorion and they lose, which is cool. I'm going to draw 2 cards here. Another land is awesome. Alright, so now we just can't lose the game ever. Narset finds a Narset, classic combo. And I'm just going to go Omen into Yorion here. What's the best thing they could tap out to? Like Sphinx's Rev? Ugin wouldn't make any sense. They've got a bunch of Sealaways in play. Yeah, but I've decided I'm not worried about whatever thing my opponent might be able to do if I tap out, so I'm tapping out. Land drop. Drawing another card here, so I don't really think I need to hit a land drop guarantee. I'd rather a counterspell. And now we get to discard the trials and stuff. Much better to discard things to hand size and to throw them at your opponent's Atris, as I always say. Yes, Rizium, that's true. Trial is one of my only outs for Dream Trawler. It may be a card that I want to... I actually kind of doubt our opponent's playing Dream Trawler if they've got Kahira the Orphan Guard. They'd have to like lose their companion to put it in, which seems unlikely to be the case, but we'll see what sideboarding looks like. I may not have enough stuff to bring in that I really like. Approach of the Second Sun, right, that's a scary card. That's a very scary card. Alright. New priority is finding a counterspell as fast as I possibly frigging can. Need to find a counterspell, or we are going to lose to Approach of the Second Sun at some point. At some point. Approach of the Second Sun has a gun point. Alright, I'm going to take Thoughtseize here, because Thoughtseize means their other card in hand can't be Approach of the Second Sun, which I do appreciate. Show me. Essence Scatter. Cool. Alright, so they have Castle Vantress. They'll be able to scry into it relatively quickly. But I'm also drawing so many cards here that it doesn't matter, actually. So I think the play here is just attack, play other Yorion, get 2 rounds of blinking going. Leave up blue mana in case we had a counterspell. We are doing that. Good. Yeah, this should have our opponent. We blink Oath of Kaya twice. They go to 11. We Demonic Pact them to 7. Hit them with Yorion for 4. Kostas play another Demonic Pact. That actually kills them because we hit them for 4/4/4 Blink Oath twice. Is that better? That runs the risk of not finding a counterspell and then having that thing exactly on top of their deck. But what are the odds they have it exactly on top of their deck? Not high. Not high. It costs literally all their mana. Alright, I'm going to cast other Demonic Pact here. I think that gives me more outs to kill them since they also just died on their Oath of Kaya this way. Not quite sure. Actually, I should have discarded a land there. If they have Narset, this gets really awkward. No Narset. Cool. I love when your opponent's not playing a Field of the Dead deck so they don't always just have the most convenient top deck in the world. That's a good feeling. So we could play Narset, look at 4 cards for the Counterspell or the Oath. We could play Omen. I guess Deputy gives me an Atris trigger, which is 3 cards as well. I guess if I had Deputy last turn, I'd have more damage this turn. I probably should have just done that. There's no reason to hold up mana. Okay, here's the plan. I'm going to attack with Yorion. I'm going to play my other Yorion and just have them literal dead. Unless they have exactly Approach the Second Sun like that they can scry to. Plus, this still gets me a look at 3 cards off Omen, so I think this is the right choice. Would be super nice to hit a negate here, but we could die. Alright, please bottom, opponent. Please bottom. Oh god, they top-bottomed, chat. They top-bottomed. Oh no, I don't like that, chat. I don't like that. Blink Oath, Blink Omen. No reason to blink any of these other stuff. I hate it. Alright, we hit Omen. Oh, Flicker does... Oh, no, Flicker doesn't do it. Flicker would have done it. No, Flicker wouldn't have done it. Does Flicker do anything? Flicker gives me Atris back off Seal Away briefly, but that doesn't do anything. Flicker... Yeah, I don't think Flicker does anything that we aren't doing already, so maybe the top card's a negate. Nope. Alright, well, if they have Approach to the Second Sun, we're going to die, and we're going to deserve it. Because I didn't just play the Deputy last turn. Let's see, chat. They topped. There's nothing else this could be, right? There's like no other card this could possibly be. Alright, I don't know what they topped. Tam, we had already played a land that turn, I think, if I'm thinking of the right thing here. Huh. I guess Ashiok has some utility against a literal Approach of the Second Sun. Still probably not doing that, though. We'll go Veto Stroke. We're going to cut 4 Trials, and I think that's just the deck. Eliminate still hits Narset, which I'm sure our opponent's playing in some number. Hits Sharks, if that's a thing. That could do it too, Patrick. Pedro, unfortunately our Oath of Kaya was not going to come back until the end of the next turn. I was thinking the same thing, but the Oath of Kaya was already gone at that point. So, one thing I could have considered doing was... I actually shouldn't have flickered Oath of Kaya there. There was no good reason to do it, because I was going to hit my opponent for 8 with the Demonic Pact the next turn anyway. Had I remembered that I could have drawn Flicker to kill them, I absolutely should have kept Oath of Kaya in play. So I made, like, several punts on that last turn alone, and was not punished. So, you can see I have a lot to learn about this deck. There is a reason I'm playing it a lot. It's really, really... The lines get really complicated. Instead of Temur Clover, you have a million pieces to play with. It's like you have a few pieces, but the pieces combine in a lot of weird ways. Still can't believe that Atris just resolved on turn 4. No. Oh god. Oh god, I think this is a keep. I hate it, but I think it's a keep. Yeah, these were bad hands, chat. You really want a good mix of like interaction and card draw and just stuff that does stuff. Like, you want some counter spells, but you don't want to just be sitting there with a pile of counter spells. Omen of the Sea is a good pickup. That's one of the better draws I could have had. So if the opponent just goes search for his Kanta, things get awkward. That is one thing I don't have for Control Mirrors, is search for his Kanta available to me. Atris is also great, by the way, so this hand's actually shaping up super nicely. Plan here is I could cast Omen, or I could wait and try to cast Omen to pressure my opponent's counter magic at the end of next turn. If I play Omen and they counter it, we just sort of haven't done anything together, so I think I'm going to hold on to it. Flicker is also great with Atris. Yeah, I mean, is this the Nassif list? Did it look like a Nassif list from what you could see? I really have no idea. The other nice thing is this Omen now plays around Censor, which forces them to use like a better counterspell if they want to counter it. Narset, land drop. I'm actually pretty down for both of those things. And now Flicker also becomes an Omen of the Sea if I have nothing else to do. We could still just get Shark Typhooned, of course. Getting Shark Typhooned is always on the menu, but the sharks are not that big yet. And having Yorion in your deck tends to make sharks look worse. They really just legit cycled the draw spell. Why wouldn't you at least try to cast it, opponent? Like, I don't have that many counters in my deck. What's the thought process there exactly? Alright, am I flickering this Omen? I think I am. What I really want is a discard spell. I would really love like a discard spell here. Problem is I only have one white source because I wasn't paying attention to my mana there. So they could resolve like an instant or something and I couldn't counter it back. I'll go for Flicker. If they counter this, then they're not going to be able to counter Narset plus Counterspell next turn. Yeah, it was much better to have Chapel there, you are correct. Irrigated Farmland, Demonic Pact. Okay, Demonic Pact feels like another must counter. What do I want to do this coming turn? Is it just play Farmland and pass? I think it's just play Farmland, pass. Then we start playing 4-drops with counter backup, maybe? Seems fine. Could also just GM Yorion in my hand at any point here. Maybe I should just do that now. Don't think it's worthwhile yet. Well, sitting over 2 counterspells isn't likely to do much. I think I actually do put Yorion in my hand here. And then I... Alright, Farmlands here, go ahead. No sharks yet. They could just put here in their hand at some point if they want to do something. Narset Parter avails. Alright, that's going to get vetoed, so that one saves my bacon. Better to have veto than negate here for sure. If they then have another Narset, I get to cast Atris, or my own Narset. It would appear they did not. Okay. So then I believe my current plan looks like... I need to actually start doing things now. They could have more Narsets waiting in the wings. I think what I want to do here is Atris. That way I can do Narset plus Pact next turn, if my opponent goes for like a Narset on their turn. Mystical Dispute. Alright, that's fine. That would have countered Yorion very successfully, so I'm glad that they didn't get to do that. And Narset's a little scary, but I've got most of their other scary things covered. That's a negate, that's a good one. Okay, so I believe here I'm going to go for Demonic Pact. Yeah, Demonic Pact here. Because it just empties their hand if they can't counter it, and I have 2 counters waiting. Maybe if Fire's Invention were in this format, I think people would probably just play Jeskai Luka, frankly. But it is a fun thing to think about. Alright, so I need the last 2 cards not to be like it's a fairy and a counterspell. I am going to try and fight over this, though. It's just so devastating if it resolves. And we're still playing around Censor, which is key. I guess they could have Cast Out. Cast Out would be kind of awkward. I do still have Deputies in my deck, though. Alright, so we ate another Dispute and an Absorb. slowly whittling it down to me still having Yori and our opponent having nothing, but we are liable to get to ferried at any point. Or not, that's nice. So it's Narset time. Opponent does have a Castle Vantress, so we gotta win relatively quickly. Narset plays around Dispute, plays around Censor. Sweet, okay. Hey there, Artan. Bottom, sure. Oh, just a Raugen Triumph. Alright. Cool. So we've got Approach covered. Disdainful Stroke doesn't cover that much in this matchup. It's very much a card we're playing because there's not anything better to do. Another Narset or a Thoughtseize. Ooh, that's tough. I actually think it's Thoughtseize here. That way I can just resolve Yorion pretty reliably next turn by taking a counterspell out of their hand first. We've still got Tef covered, we've got Approach covered. Although we don't counter the first approach, we always counter the second one. Search for Iskanta. Can't cover that, but it's kind of fine. Like, I think the Yorion value train is going to wildly overrun Search for Iskanta here. Opponent knows I have Thoughtseize, they might be keeping a land in hand, so I'm probably not going to use the Thoughtseize yet. Don't see a strong reason to do that. Thought Erasure, Oath of Kaya. Got 9 mana, so I can't Oath and Yorion and be safe. I think I just take Thought Erasure, again, for the purposes of trying to battle over an important spell later. I guess I could Thought Erasure here, at least scries a little bit. Alright. No, I'm not going to do that, I don't think. Let's go Yorion, blink both of these. And wait. They're gonna have spells accumulating here at some point. They're a deck full of counter spells. Okay, Deputy. Well, Deputy is sadly like a turn too late to get rid of Iskanta, but does get rid of some other things that might be a concern later. But now we're really fighting. Our opponent's drawing like a good spell every turn off of this. Well, a spell, you know, of medium quality. And we don't have like a recurring source of card advantage. Narset kind of counts, but we need to find like flickers or disinformation campaigns for that to really work. The good news is we do have a clock. I could sack Omen of the Sea to Scry. I don't think I want to yet. Dovin's Veto is great. Because it's just much better to hit Flicker if I already have Omen out. Another negate. Alright, I'll keep taking counter spells here. I think I will go for Thought Erasure. See what's going on here. Opponent's just keeping 2 lands in hand. Well done. But they should be playing lands because they've got... Alright, so we ate a veto with that. That's fine. And now I think I Deputy the Kahira so I can start attacking with Yorion, and then I was holding up 2 counterspells anyway. Like, this actually gets me a clock, which is really nice, and otherwise I can't attack with Yorion because Narset's left unprotected. Shark Typhoon would have been horrible there, of course, but they haven't been playing like they have it, so we're just going to assume they don't have it yet. If they do start getting Shark Typhoons, we're going to need to be able to flicker this Deputy. That would have been a reason not to play out the Deputy there. It's hard to tell if I was too greedy, but I think against Iskanta, I do kind of just want to go fast. Alright, there's a Typhoon. Have a feeling they're not going to try and resolve that one, sadly. We do have 2 more Deputies. We have a couple of Eliminates. We have a Narset Trigger to go find those things. Narset Trigger can also find Flicker. But seeing Shark Typhoon does make me want to use Omen of the Sea, although they can Field of Ruin to ruin my Scry. Yeah, gonna go for this here. Alright, I'll take Omen. Definitely don't need Thoughtseize, but Omen is just more looks at all of these things, which is nice. But close game. Anything could happen here. Definitely don't, yeah. So I'm good on counters, but I mean, the Sharks might just crush me through the counters. I am glad I have the Deputies. Disinformation campaign is good. Disinformation campaign is quite good. I'm going to use Narset first, see if I can hit like a Flicker. Perfect. Flicker's awesome. All right, so now I think we're in pretty good shape. I basically have to go campaign, take whatever non-Typhoon card is in their hand. Actually, I should have Thoughtseized first. Being able to Thoughtseize second should be fine, but I basically want to force them to cycle the Typhoon as soon as possible, so they have to figure out how much mana they want to spend before I start doing other stuff. Sinister Sabotage, okay. So that means we're going to go ahead and negate that. And then they are keeping the ability to make a 5/5 Shark, which they have to make now. Okay. They then discard whatever they just drew. Beautiful. Demonic Pacts. Ooh, we got a Tef. That's nice. And I am going to Flicker now. This does tap me out. Which is dangerous. But I think it's the correct move to make. Yeah, so you can also Flicker the Sharks to get rid of them, but fortunately that's not necessary for us because we do have the value train rolling here. If this deck ever is good, people start playing Tail's End, and then the deck will become considerably less good. But it is good now. It's definitely good now. Still not too interested in hitting land drops. I think we've got plenty of lands here. Double Demonic Pact will help us finish the game in short order here, I think. As Kanta looking kind of overloaded. We have to worry a little bit about approach to the second sun. We got 2 counters for it, which is a lot of counters. Ginky. Right now I'm liking Esper. I found that blue-black couldn't beat mono-red at all, and white-black just couldn't beat field. I mean, maybe there are ways to adjust those 2 decks, but I found them both just lacking the flexible tools. Like Deputy Detention and Oath of Kai are just incredible Magic cards. Really, really good to play. Alright, so if the opponent has another Shark Typhoon, I can't attack with Yorion. Let's see what's going on here. It was a veto, okay. So if I attack with Yorion and they as Kanta into a Shark Typhoon, the Shark is still too small to matter. Lay down 1 Pact, just the 1 this turn. And hold up some counter spells. Opponent has a lot of counters that don't do much at this point in the game. They've used a couple disputes. They might still have some sensors in their deck. Cast out, okay. Yep. So wouldn't be surprised to see the Demonic Pact get cast out. And then I will finally get to use my Disdainful Stroke on something, which is exciting. Luxac Dan, thanks for the follow. Inky, hey, if you wanna help, send me a message. I mean, I stole your mono white deck to get 7 wins in the Arena Open, so I absolutely owe you one. Please let me know what questions you have. It definitely is historic, Luxac Dan. Finally, with Demonic Pact, the great reason to play Demonic Pact over like more Atrices and like Archon of Sun's Grace or whatever is people can finally stop complaining about this deck just being a standard deck with better mana. Now we are guaranteed a historic deck. Look, we have Demonic Pact and everything. Opponent gets to seal away Yorion. Opponent should not still have this card in their deck. Maybe they anticipated that I was going to sideboard out Deputy Detention. My opponent's going to be very sad about how the next turn goes for them. Very sad, I expect. Well, Ginky, I am a cognitive science major. Maybe I can help you there too. Goodness. Alright, so I could kill. I'm gonna get Yorion back this turn. Let's just draw 2 cards. Oath of Kai is a solid pickup. Thought Erasure, sure. JFB, I don't think there's any card you can use to do that. All the cards that like allow, I think the only card that lets you give someone an enchantment is like Switcheroo, role reversal specifically, which means your opponent also has to have an enchantment, which seems hard to pull off. All right, opponent got me pretty good there, except we do get Disinformation Campaign back. So really, who's been gotten? I'm just keeping Oath of Kai here. I'm ready to kill them with burn spells. I no longer think they have any real chance of winning the game, so it's just about ending the game. So this is just going to be me going... Actually, hold that for later. So we'll go Deputy, I'll go Oath first, and then I'll go Deputy, get back Yorion, and then we'll end the game. And we even get to get around cycling Rogue and Triumph into a Mystical Dispute. Oh yeah, one with the stars, you could do that too. Alright, the fun part is... Yeah, okay. I didn't need to, if we flicker Deputy Attention, they would just get back a useless seal away, which is pretty fun, because we have no tapped creatures. Alright, that was good, that was good. Ooh, Oliver 2 is taking Orzhov Doom in Historic Man? That I want to see. I was playing it and I just could not figure out the field matchup. I just got dunked over and over again by... Maybe it's just like playing enough copies of Ashiok in your sideboard? Just like not having enough ways to reliably stop Hour of Promise? Oh, it was just my list. Perfect, perfect. That I've got to tweet that one out. Tammy, remind me to tweet that one out, and I'll write it down. I'm gonna write down that I gotta A, watch that, and B, let people know that I had a #1 list, even if it wasn't me. Was that streamed, Ginky? Before I get really disappointed by realizing it wasn't? Alright, did we learn anything about, like, the deck in that match? I don't think so. Kevlar, man. It's good to know that Oliver and I are soulmates in that sense. This is a complicated thing to do. God. I guess Fabled Passage means this comes into play untapped. I still think this hand is not good enough. This is better. This is better. I see Atris in it. I'm already happy. Yeah, you really want some number of cards that actually do get you some card advantage. Hence, Atris is great. Alright, so opponent's Gigantha. I guess we're going to see if there's Gigantha Field or Gigantha Mono Red. So here goes nothing. Either way, I think the thing to do here is just like put in a tap land. I don't really want to... If they are Gigantha Field, I'd rather just Trial of Ambition on turn... Or Gigantha Mono Red, I want to just Trial on turn 2. Yeah, so this hand is okay against Mono Red. I really need Oath of Kaya to like have the ideal setup. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and Trial now. Basically stops them from getting it light up the stage next turn, which is pretty nice. A lot of red decks will keep hands that rely on that. But, yeah, it's not the easiest matchup in the world. Lava Runner, alright, another Trial is actually excellent. Actually, we might just strangle them with this. They can start hitting me with burn spells, but if they don't get, like, sustained creature damage, it's pretty hard for them to get enough damage going before I start, like, doing Yorion stuff. Could have cast Thoughtseize there. The fact that I would then have to shock in the Godless trying to play Atris, maybe not quite want to do that. It's tough. So they're now going to light up. Mountain Lightning Strike, pretty good, pretty good. Alright, so I think this... Oh, never mind. This turn is now Demonic Pact. I was going to say, maybe I Thoughtseize and put Yorion in my hand this turn, but now it's just Demonic Pact. This is a card that they do not beat very easily. Ramunap, or whatever the Raptor is, could do it. Whatever the one is. It's not Ramunap. What's the name of the dinosaur? It's not Harsh Raptor, that's Harsh Mentor. Anyway, yeah. So people were asking about Demonic Pact earlier. That's one of the things Demonic Pact does, is if you have some early interaction against Mono Red, they just legit scoop to it. That's all, folks. Okay, so problem with Mono Red is they have two different pretty scary 4-drop things that we have to worry about in Experimental Frenzy and Hazaret. Hazaret's kind of okay. We have a bunch of Trial of Ambition plus discard spells, which sort of serve against that card. Experimental Frenzy is tougher. Unless we counter it, we can't really remove it. But I still don't think it's worth playing Grafdigger's Cage or Disdainful Stroke. These cards are just both way too narrow. The average red draw that beats you is not the Experimental Frenzy draw, it's just the getting run over by creatures draw. But other cuts here. So I like cheap counters. I think I like Flicker, because Flicker just triggering Oath of Kaya makes it into a Lightning Helix, which is outstanding. I think I just cut Discard. I think Disinformation Campaign is reasonable as card advantage. And what I actually cut here are just some discard spells. It's tough. Thoughtseize is practically if you take a 3 damage burn spell with Thoughtseize and it hits you for 2, did you accomplish anything? It's a hard question. The fact that this hits like Frenzy and Hazoret while like fitting to my curve, I think makes it better than Thought Erasure. But that might be completely wrong. I'm gonna try this list though. Rampaging Ferocidon. There we go. Thank you everyone in chat. I've seen some decks play both, and then some decks will like have one or the other, but you can't really predict. Aganimal. Alright, this might be pretty short-lived. Alright, 3 removal spells. I guess we keep for that. Actually, I'm bottoming one of the removal spells, because I need to be hitting my land drops here. But not expecting to win with the Bolt of 5. It's just how it goes sometimes. Hey, thanks for the follow, person whose name I can't pronounce, because it's in another language, but thank you. Sage Honest, also thank you for the follow. Alright, the early light up the stage, hitting land 1-drop. Yep, that's... Like, I know that mono red isn't even good or whatever, but the card light up the stage still sort of just conceptually bothers me. Like, I don't love that mono red just gets to draw 2 cards for 1 mana. But it's fine. I'm not complaining too much about it. It's just incredibly powerful effect to just randomly jam into standard. It's fundamentally different than a card like Hazoret. Okay, opponent's just on infinite Skullstar Mages and not a lot of burn, apparently. Huh. This makes me think that they've got some kind of big scary 4-drop in their hand. I would have to take 4 damage in order to Thoughtseize them this turn. But if they just untap and play Hazoret, how screwed am I? If they play Hazoret, they can't actually attack with it. If they play Frenzy, Frenzy would be very bad. Alright, I'm going to Thoughtseize here. Also, all their burn spells are worth much more damage at this point, because they trigger the mages, so it's sort of more damage positive. Glad they're still having Shock in their deck. That's a pretty low impact card. Whoops, alright. I mean, I guess technically they lost some Skullscar Mage damage, so it's not so bad. We actually might have a shot here. We'll see. They're going to put Gigantha in their hand next turn, I assume. Unless they just rip a Hazoret and kill me. Okay, we're going to kill these, and then I'm going to put Demonic Pact into play. And then we'll see if Demonic Pact can beat Gigantha. I mean, I am going to have to shock to put Demonic Pact into play here. So it's entirely possible my opponent just goes burn spell, kill me. This is a bad situation, but we're not literally dying, and considering how badly we mold, that's something. It's a small victory. So we get hit. I think the play has to just be killing Soulscar Mage here. We have a lot of draws to kill Gigantha, since Flickering Trial of Ambition also does it. Watery Grave doesn't do it, unfortunately. Alright, so opponent needs to not be able to conjure up 2 burn spells. I don't like the odds of that. I really don't like the odds of that. They've got Raw Mana Ruins too, so they need not have 1 burn spell that costs 1 mana, because the Ruins will just kill me. I mean, I guess I'd take their cards. Mountain. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance. We get to Blink, Trial, Blink Pact. I guess I was supposed to draw there, since if they had instant speed burn, they would just throw it at me. That was wrong. Supposed to draw there, so basically the opponent needs to hit a burn spell to kill me. They had a really land-heavy draw here, so most of their deck is probably burn spells. But, we acquit ourselves okay for a Mull of 5. Admittedly, it was a horrible draw for our opponent, too. But dead to pretty much everything. I guess Shock. Literal Shock doesn't do it. Lightning Strike, Wizard's Lightning, Skewer the Critics. Rampaging Ferocidon doesn't do it. I mean, Rampaging Ferocidon is terrifying. I do need to kill it immediately. Right, because it just attacks with Menace. Yeah, so we gotta kill this, unfortunately, which means no life gain for me. But now I could draw like Oath of Kaya? Or I could draw Glacial Fortress. How about Glacial Fortress, Aaron? How's that? Opponent currently does... So, question now is, do I attack with Yorion and that makes me dead to Gitu Lava Runner as well? I don't think I do. So, pretty iffy draws here from me near the end. They're passing, alright, I'll draw 2 cards. I do have ways to gain life in this deck. Woman of the Sea could find me one. Opponent could also just be... They're not holding onto a burn spell to spite me, I feel like. Seems pretty unlikely. I also need to worry about bouncing this Pact at some point, but, you know, that can come later. Nope. Nope. A lot of my deck also gets to be kind of dead once our opponent has no creatures. Yep, certainly have, Jesus. Certainly have. Ouch. Good lord, chat. Good lord. Alright, well, we can sack Omen of the Sea next turn. If we somehow don't die again, still holding back Yorion because we could still get Gitu Lava Runner off the top. We are dead to nearly everything. We also have no cards coming due off Demonic Pact here. We need to flicker it next turn or we'll die. A lot of bad things are all happening. That's one of them. Powerful card, chat. Powerful card. Alright, well, we get to be on the play. We get to hopefully not mold a 5. So far, our record in games tonight, we haven't molded a 5, has been incredible. I have hope. Yep, I think... Honestly, maybe Narsit's better than Thoughtseize. We have a crap ton of removal. And even if Narsit's kind of slow, I still think it actually just... The fact that she can find me life gain is, like, huge in the matchup. Yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know. I'll try this. It's an experiment. Might be wrong. Ferocidon saved them really, really well. Yeah, it was a good draw for them. But they also had a bunch of burn spells to kill me, so me complaining about them drawing Ferocidon is like, eh. Yeah, Erasure might be fine too. Alright, this hand certainly plays. We've got a bunch of removal. Deputy Detention is not like the world's greatest removal spell against them, since it dies to all of their, most of their burn spells, but it's an inconvenience. It gives me an answer to, like, Experimental Frenzy or Hazoret if I need one. It's randomly great if they happen to have a draw with multiple of the same creature. Lava Runner, alright, so do I eliminate that, or am I just going to drop Omen of the Sea? I believe we're just supposed to eliminate that, again, to prevent nonsense in the vein of turn to light up the stage. Yeah, just still on there for a turn or two is certainly useful, Tuna with Bacon. Alright, they played the land first. So... that tells me this probably isn't light up the stage, since they wouldn't play the land first if they had that. So I'm going to actually let them hit me because their 2-drop creatures are scarier than Gitu Lava Runner. I would rather eliminate a Viashino Pyromancer, for example. If they do turn out to have light up the stage, then I kind of got. But yeah, I expected this to be Viashino Pyromancer. This is the card you really don't take with Deputy Detention because it just deals you 2 damage again coming down. Demonic Pact, that's a good card. Definitely a fan of that card. That's possible too, pay 2, that's possible. And without a Lava Runner on board, they find it hard to have cheap burn spells. Alright, Lightning Strike takes that out. Can they attack with this turn? Do they have a mountain and a 1-mana burn spell? They did not. Cool. Okay, so... pretty sure we just start Pacting at the earliest opportunity here. I could also play Deputy, which would stop me from having to shock to Pact, but pretty sure this is worth it. This forces them to have Ferocidon next turn, or like Tybalt or something. They don't even have a land drop necessarily. That is a land drop. That is a Ferocidon, but that's okay. We go to 14, and then I just kill the Ferocidon, which is still fine. Actually, I could Deputy the Ferocidon. No, I think I'm just supposed to kill it. And they have so many ways to kill Deputy in their deck. Negate. Alright, let's go with... really want to hit a land drop this turn. I'm going to Omen of the Sea. Pretty good chance I hit an untapped land. Perfect. Don't really want more than one, though. So I'll take Drowned Catacomb here, and then I think I just put Yorion in my hand. Yorion Blinking Demonic Pact is incredible. I could also Deputy the Lava Runner again. And then next turn I've got, like, Yorion in my hand plus Negate. Didn't have enough mana for that, Tom. Oh, you mean the Demonic Pact. Okay, that was also possible. It's just if they hold on to a burn spell, then I can't remove Ferocity, which is really inconvenient. I did have enough mana to... I could have made them discard and then play Deputy. I didn't know I was going to get Negate, though. Alright, so Yori into hand versus Deputy in this turn. Pretty sure it's just Yori into hand. It's just so hard for them to have enough damage output to really make me regret doing this. And I can always just Deputy and Negate next turn. If my opponent has Experimental Frenzy, for example, that's an easy play. So now we're going to make them discard their 2 cards. Wizard's Lightning, Pyromancer, great. Going to Deputy their Frenzy, hold up Negate, and then next turn I can play Yorion. So extremely limited set of things our opponent could have that would really scare us. I guess Hazoret is probably foremost among those. Deputy Attention. Pretty solid flexible card. I am a fan. And now I believe we should have this one unlock at the life total we're at. You know, mono red is like, never be sure, but I like this position. So we definitely want to keep Frenzy under the Deputy. I have no interest in giving them that one back. This does give me a turn of vulnerability where they could draw a burn spell off the top and kill Deputy with it. But I'm pretty sure that Demonic Pact plus all the cards in my hand should be able to keep up with Frenzy. Especially since I'm now going to take another Demonic Pact. Yeah, Tom, we're getting some interesting decisions this game. Oh, you mean this turn where I like took away their Experimental Frenzy? That was pretty good too. Alright, opponent drew 1 card, they played Jegantha. I guess, actually, so we're going to hit Jegantha and then play Cry the Carnarium to wipe out our opponent's board. That seems pretty reasonable. And then I can just hold up Negate. Do I even need to do that? They basically shouldn't be able to win if they can't take out Deputy, so I might just hold Negate. Let's go. Thoughtseize, see what they have. Okay, whatever. And then I'll play Cry, and then I'll just hold up Negate. Quite satisfying. Didn't have quite enough mana to go Campaign plus Cry plus Negate there. Okay, admittedly we do need to find a... Actually, shouldn't crack that. I've got a bunch of Flicker of Fate that I haven't seen yet. We need to kill them before this thing goes off, but it's going to be pretty hard not to find another Yorion or a Flicker or something else that just lets me kill them. Let's see. So I attack for 5, play the other Demonic Pact, play Oath of Kaya, everything just targets their face. Pretty sure that's what we're doing. Yeah, this should win. They need to kill Yorion next turn or they lose. I actually should have attacked first. They didn't know I'd Oath of Kaya. I was really lazy. They might just block Deputy now to try and stay alive. Yep. So that's awkward. That's awkward. Yikes. So I have a lot of turns to find something so that my pack doesn't kill me now. A lot of cards to look at. Oh wait, no, they're just dead. They're just dead to burn now. Okay, they can't kill Deputy. They had to be able to kill Deputy there, or like put a blocker in front of it. That was maybe closer than it should have been, but it's all good. And I could look to see if I was going to hit the Flicker, but I think that would just be BMing, so let's not. Other way around, Naka, exclamation point first. Alright, almost a top 100, chat. I like this deck. I like this build of the deck. This is definitely the best Esper Yorion feeling deck I've played since Amonkhet came out. Probably since Jumpstart came out. I kind of want to run the Goblins again, see if we can take that matchup down with better hands. No more censors. Blah. Censor. Yep, Demonic Pact is honestly just amazing. Completely reinvigorated this archetype. Kind of weird to imagine it just being like a regular standard card that people could just like play safely. Yeah, Genki. Out of curiosity, was there any pattern in the things that were beating you? Was it like a lot of field, a lot of just random garbage? Luris. Alright, so this might be Rakdos. If this is the enchantment deck, like any form of like auras, it's a great matchup. If it's Rakdos Kroxa, it's a terrifying matchup. It's Rakdos Kroxa. Alright, so can't play that. That'll come into play tapped. That would be really bad. Let's not do that. Gonna be looking for blue sources. Interesting. Wow, opponent's hand is a pile of garbage. And yet I think I just take Warlord's Fury here, because I can just kill Dreadhorde Arcanist with Oath of Kaya for free, and this actually draws them a card that I can't necessarily handle for free. I will keep that because it gives me Demonic Pact. But I don't want a Demonic Pact, like, might not want a Demonic Pact next turn. They are a Thoughtseize deck, so Demonic Pacting without enough mana to, like, safely put Yuri in hand and cast it and play it out could just get me killed. Like, Kroxa is a card this deck does not deal with super well. I now have both Ashiok and Grafdigger's Cage in the sideboard, so I expect things to feel a bit better. Yeah, I don't know. Vikyle, I've seen a bunch of builds of it, and I really haven't... I've played it. I've even tried playing one build of it. And I wound up with just, like, feeling completely confused about, like, what the heck the deck is supposed to be doing. Like, there are a bunch of versions of it that all seem good in different ways, and maybe it's just like Esper and you just, like, attune it for the meta. Like, I don't know if you're supposed to be doing Priest Claim. Blah. Well, on the one hand, blah. On the other hand, that's 4 cards we definitely didn't want. So thank you, Narset. Opponent also has to spend another shock on Narset if they don't want me to flicker her, which is awesome. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Alright, that one I can eat up with Deputy, so that's fine. Okay. We don't have an answer to Luris immediately, but if they don't have a Thoughtseize in the next 2 turns, we do just get to Yorion. Problem is if they kill Deputy with like a Heartless Act or something, or another shock, then they can Dreadhorde back a Thoughtseize, which makes it really hard to put Yorion in hand. So I'm hoping this is just kind of a dead draw for them. Stitcher Supplier, okay, that's fine. Okay, whiffed on Kroxa, you love to see it. And that should give me time to put Yorion in hand and get some stuff going. Gonna cycle Farmland here because I could hit Thoughtseize, which would let me take out the Luris, which would be very nice. Omen of the Sea, okay, that's a reasonable one too. Still just gonna throw Yorion in hand this turn. Basically, the opponent needs to top deck Thoughtseize, where I think we're like hugely favored. I think. Narset, we will block to defend Narset. Opponent can then shock Deputy to get back Dreadhorde Arcanist, but I don't especially care. I guess the other thing that happens is they could dump a Kroxa into the yard, and then just play Kroxa, which is really scary. Huh. Still think I'm supposed to block and keep Narset alive. The upside is just really, really high. Also, if they don't have a land in hand, then this forces them to not get back Supplier with Luris here. Okay, so they shock this. If they have Thoughtseize, we're sad. Anything besides Thoughtseize, we should be able to absolutely crush. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, we even get the 7th land to play the Omen? Yeah, this deck crushed me last time I ran into it, but this is feeling pretty good. Although, you know, never count out the Dreadhorde Arcanist. I just want spells at this point. My opponent's going to be discarding everything I have. I just want spells. And we're going to kill Luris, which does give them an attack if they really want to with Dreadhorde Arcanist to flashback Thoughtseize, but then we just eat it with Yorion, so it's fine. Yep, that's the good thing about playing blue. That's the thing about the white-black version is land pockets and 80-card decks are no joke. I think I'm pretty down on Thoughtseize at this point. Like, I don't know if they're going to have any cards in their hand from here on out. They do have Heartless Act in their deck. So what they could do, actually what they can do is Fame the Dreadhorde Arcanist flashback Heartless Act to kill Yorion. That's actually a lot of damage. They can't quite kill Narset, which is nice. But we are losing Yorion, so opponent still has plenty of room to turn this around. Red Horde Arcanist is one hell of a magic card. I guess it's nice that Atris blocks those pretty smoothly. Whoa, they cast Thoughtseize? Oh, they get to cast both. God, never mind. Maybe we're actually just gonna die. Jeez, chat, this deck. So strong. Like, we killed these and they just came right back. Alright, never mind, we get to kill some of them now. So we're gonna go Omen. So things that can flash back now are Shocks, which is still pretty annoying. I guess I just take another Narset, and do I take Negate as well for next turn? So what I can do is... Huh. I think alright, what's in their graveyard? Let's see their graveyard here. They've got Shock, Village Rites, Shock, Warlord's Fury. And the Village Rites and Warlord's Fury obviously don't work as long as I have Narset in play. I'm going to take Narset, and I think I also take Negate. It's tough. But it's like an interactive spell that works against their stuff, and we do have a lot of lands left in our deck that I would rather not draw. Gonna pass. If they make the mistake of only attacking an Narset with one Arcanist, we just eliminate that Arcanist. At the very least, the stuff the Arcanist can flash back is not that good. I guess one of them flashes back Shock, the other one flashes back Village Rites. It's a little awkward. But then I can still just kill one of them and they have to Village Rites their other Arcanist, which is fine. Not bothering with Narset at all. Really? Oh, they're just going to Shock her. That makes sense. Okay. So we don't get Oath of Kaya damage. Yeah, I actually should have just killed one of these pre-combat. That was dumb. So you're going for Warlord's Fury, Shock, Narset. Yeah, that was dopey. Yeah, protecting Narset from discard, it's tricky. It's like, how many, yeah, probably, given that I knew I was going to keep Negate, that was actually better. You're right. I should have killed these things, so I'm punting all over the place here. If I lose this one, it's definitely on me. Yeah, now they can Village Rite. If they have a Village Rites, they can also just Village Rites one of these in response to Eliminate, which is really ugly. So I might just wait on the Eliminate until I have Narset in play for that reason. We also got to Castle Lochthwain. Yeah, at this point, I'm actually just going to wait on the Eliminate in case they have Village Rites, and then I'll play Narset first. They've now got only a Shock and a Village Rites in their graveyard, so that's less stuff to worry about. But yeah, we've misplayed this game quite badly. Okay, I guess I just take an Eliminate and then just kill both of the cards they have. Eliminate, kill both their creatures seems pretty reasonable. And then we could just get gotten by Claim to Fame, I guess. Let's actually throw one Eliminate. See if they go for... This is tough. I think I actually wait. Here. What I really need is another Yorion. Another Yorion is the card that gets me back on top of this. So they attack with Arcanist. They can flashback Shock at Narset. The thing I'm worried about is them having Claim to Fame, which I would love to counter. I guess I wait until pre-combat at least, because if they have Claim to Fame, they'll cast it pre-combat. Now I can do this before they clear attackers. They're also at a low-ish life total. Yeah, the temptation is making them take 2 off of Oath of Kaya. I think it's not worth it. I think we just go for the Eliminate now, kill this. Narset probably lives to do a thing. They can't Village Rites this. Really hope they have some dead Village Rites in their hand. They can have another Arcanist, but Narset could find me more removal. Wow, we're just drawing every Narset. I don't mind. I'll take all the Narsets you want to give me. Ooh. Okay, then I think this is just Demonic Pact. Oh man, we don't have any way to like reset it right now, but it's so much card advantage. Flicker of Fate lets me flicker Oath of Kaya and just kill the Arcanist. Then I can just play another Narset. And actually, I should probably just do that. I have a Negate now, so I get to go... play out the other Narset. Yeah, there was a while when I didn't have Narset in this deck because I'm an idiot. Narset is an incredible Magic card. Just unreal strong. Alright, now I think I take Demonic Pact. Now I think I take Demonic Pact. Maybe Omen was correct there. Hard to say. Yay, responsible lines. Alright, they go to 8 off of this Castle Lochthwain, so lots of card advantage, but it's not completely free. Their deck, I guess they might have like a Cling to Dust or something in there for life gain, but that would be about it. Kroxa's still very, very scary, because Kroxa gets around Narset beautifully. Gonna stop at combat here, we're gonna flicker the Oath of Kaya. If they just go like Kroxa, eat all the cards in my hand, then I'm suddenly really, really under the gun. Once I get like a bunch of cages and Ashioksa in, this matchup should become very much easier. But yeah, Kroxa terrifies me. I just lose everything. Yep. Ouch. Alright, so much for negate, chat. So much for negate. So now we have to find like Trial of Ambition. I do have 4 Trial of Ambition. I could also just draw a frickin' Yorion. But yeah, Kroxa is bad news for this deck. Pre-board. It's just really, really hard to stop. Maybe Omen of the Sea was better for that reason, thinking about that card. Deputy Detention. Alright, that helps. That definitely helps. Thought Erasure. Alright, Thought Erasure's not bad either. It does stop me from cracking an Omen of the Sea, but I think it's worth it to make their turn worse. Like, if they have a removal spell, I really want to get rid of it. Village Rites, Disfigure. Okay, taking Village Rites. Goodbye. Oath of Kaya. They're at 8 life. I don't think Oath of Kaya is worth it at this point. I really just want to hit Yorion or like a Demonic Pact. Even like an Omen of the Sea is better. So now I get to take Kroxa. Opponent's temporarily without stuff to do. They can't activate Lochthwain on their turn because of Narset. A lot of draws just destroy me. Dragon Skull Summit is not one of them. And we're even getting some attacks in. Okay, opponent's gonna do Lochthwain on their upkeep, which gives me a chance to crack Omen on my upkeep. Come on, something. Flicker. Is Flicker good enough? Yeah, Flicker is like another Omen of the Sea. That's good enough. I can Flicker my Deputy if they try to kill it, but I will give them a Kroxa back to their graveyard, which would be sad. So it's like a last-ditch kind of thing. Oh, Flicker also puts them to 2 with Oath of Kaya, so my opponent could just die out of nowhere here. Young Pyromancer. Okay, that's a slightly frightful card. I can Flicker to kill it. The question is, are they going to do something irresponsible with like draw a card with Castle Lochthwain? I really, really want to see them draw a card with Castle Lochthwain here, chat. So we're going to go to end of turn, we're going to crack Omen. They don't have instant speed discard. Unless they kill my Deputy, if they have like a Shock or a Disfigure in hand, and they kill my Deputy and Kroxa my Flicker, then I'll be the saddest boy in the entire universe, but... Please draw a card with Castle Lochthwain. Please draw a card with Castle Lochthwain. Please draw a card with Castle Lochthwain. Please do it. Please do that. Cling to Dust. That gains them life. No, it draws my card. Okay, yes, that is acceptable, sure. That's fine. That's just nothing. Now draw a card with Castle Lochthwain. They go Disfigure. Okay. Sure. Do they also have a Shock? They have another Disfigure. Alright, so... Gosh. Alright, so we have the choice here. We can either save Deputy, eat all of their Young Pyromancer tokens, and give them a Kroxa back in their graveyard, which they can cast immediately and start killing me with. Or I could Flicker Oath of Kaya, and then if I hit another Oath of Kaya, or another Flicker, or a Demonic Pact, I just win the game. They do have a Cling to Dust, though, that gains them life. It gains them 3 life. We need to make our choice now, because we're going to have to discard our card either way. Oy vey.
I don't get it. Or if they kill it, you still...
Yes, they get a Croxa either way. The question is, do I keep this 1/3 and get rid of their tokens? Is that better than dealing 3 damage to them? I think the play is just to deal 3 damage to them. Because this means Yorion off the top also wins. Like, I have a ton of top decks to win the game here. So they're going to kill my Deputy, they're going to get Croxa back. Croxa's going to deal 3 to me and die. Well, yeah, they don't have mana to escape this turn only. This is the turn that we need to hit the thing. We did Surveil too. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Deserved! I mean, I played like garbage, but booyah. Booyah, you try to outcard advantage 3 Narsets. Oof. Got him. We did have a lot of Gotems that turn, to be fair. Many Gotems were available. Okay, this deck. I genuinely don't think Cry the Carnarium is good. It gets rid of Stitcher's Supplier without, like, filling their graveyard more. It gets rid of Young Pyromancer and the tokens. But it does nothing to Croxa, it does nothing to Dreadhorde Arcanist, and Dreadhorde Arcanist is much scarier to me than Young Pyromancer. I guess, what are the bad cards? What are the cards I don't want in my deck? Narset actually surprisingly good against them, given they're a Village Rites deck. Disinformation Campaign seems pretty awkward. Atris dies for 1 mana to a lot of the removal, so it might not be worth it. Negate is kind of like narrow and awkward. Let's cut Negate. Let's cut... I want some kind of discard cut, I think. It's like a mono-red deck. You just expect they're going to be playing with a semi-empty hand a lot of the time. Need to cut Thought Erasure, bring in Ashiok, bring in Grafdigger's Cage. And maybe cut some campaigns for some Cries. Or like Heartless Act. Heartless Act kills Arcanist, fine. Got 6 removal spells already. Trial of Ambition against Young Pyromancer is hot garbage. Maybe I just cut these? Let's try that, actually. I don't know if this is correct. Let's cut the Trials, bring in Heartless Acts, bring in 1 Cry the Carnarium, and call that our plan. Yes, Arcanist is a 1/3. So you cannot kill it with Cry the Carnarium. You can kill some of their things with Cry the Carnarium. I don't know if you can kill enough for it to be worthwhile. Having 3 Deputy might just mean it's unnecessary to worry about Pyromancer tokens. Okay, this hand looks very, very good. We've got some early disruption. We've got a Demonic Pact. We've got a Flicker for the Demonic Pact. Worth noting that they are a Thoughtseize deck. They can break up, you know, if you have a plan to get back Demonic Pact, they might be able to break it up with this card, so be careful about that. Beautiful. We get to cast our discard spell in turn 1, which is amazing. If they cut 6, they might just have a hand that falls apart to this. We'll see. Baroxa, Young Pyromancer, Shock. Let's see. Probably just the Pyromancer, I would think. I have extra land I can discard to Croxa, probably. Yeah, just take Croxa. No, if I take Croxa, they play Pyromancer, and I just Heartless Act with Pyromancer, so it's an extremely clean, like, couple of turns that we've played. I think I'm just taking Croxa. I kind of like the cards in my hand. Omen of the Sea is a nice one. So we just kill this now. Before any tokens come out. And the next turn we can, like, Godless Shrine tapped Omen, then we can Demonic Pact. Okay, they found another Young Pyromancer immediately, but that's not super concerning. Like, the tokens are not going to kill me all that fast. There was some argument for putting Yorion in my hand this turn. Hard to say. We get a 14, we go to 11 off the Pyromancer attack. They did not shock me. That is an interesting decision. Okay, Stitcher Supplier is going to get them back Croxa really fast, actually. That's slightly awkward. So now they get back Croxa next turn. But I get to Omen looking for Ashiok and for Grafdigger's Cage, so my odds of hitting one of those is pretty high. If I miss on both, I might honestly just flicker the Omen to try and have more chances to hit those. Because Croxa is not a card we... Okay, that's actually legitimately the perfect set of things to see. So, yep. Incredible draws, incredible deck, incredible times. So now we... Whoops. Accidentally minimize Arena. Put Arena back up. There we go. Alright. So we'll just go Chapel, Cage. Oath the Pyromancer. Next turn we get to go Demonic Pact, or if they, I don't know, do something else dangerous, we can like Flicker Oath, put Yorion in hand. Opponent could shock their own Pyromancer to save me from gaining life, and it looks like they have chosen to do that. Makes sense. Alright, just throws Luris immediately into hand. They do not have anything else going on. That's awesome. Awesome news. Okay, better have a lot of Thought Seizes in a row, opponent. A lot of Thought Seizes in a row. Nope. Yep, yeah. I definitely, one of the things I don't want to be doing this format is playing a deck that gets turned off by Grafdigger's Cage. This seems so tough. Let's go for... I'm gonna just kill Luris here. Our life total is getting a little low. Maybe draw 2 is right there. And then I'm just gonna... Okay, opponent gives up. Alright, now we just gotta... Oh, we won the first game. I forgot we won the first game, chat. Alright, that's a top 100. Sinistra, I mean, what are they supposed to do, right? They also know I'm a Thoughtseize deck. And also Luris is just like a 3-2 with lifelink. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Okay, so that was awesome. We're now hitting 2.5 hours, so I think we got time for one more match before we close out the stream. Yeah, this has been really clean. This deck has been super paying me off on stream. I'm now ready to tweet about it. I kept almost being ready to tweet about it and then going on huge losing streaks. But I think even if I lose this one, officially going to tweet about the deck. I like a lot of what it's doing. Except for not this. Not this. Alright, well that is something. Kind of resembling a hand. Alright, well, let's hope our opponent's playing a historic deck that folds to Thoughtseize. Those exist, right? It's field, alright. Oath, Omen of the Sea is a great draw, though. Omen of the Sea is a great draw. Cannot complain about that one. Let's... Show me the damage. Our Explorer. Okay, well, let's take Explorer, and then we'll take Our next turn, and then maybe we can actually hold them back for a bit. Maybe they won't immediately draw another Explorer Growth Spiral.
Oh my gosh.
It is most of their deck, to be fair. You can't really be too mad about it. Narset. Alright, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So my priority is to play Narset next turn, which means I need to Thoughtseize the Hour this turn. Of course, there's an Uro, but Narset does shut that one down pretty nicely. We can't kill it yet, but that's a problem for future Aaron. We do have 4 Trial of Ambition. And I guess 2 Eliminate now, too. We actually are better at killing Uro than some versions of this deck have been. They shocked in, so it's another Explorer, I assume. Alright, still missing lands. We'll probably just be playing, you know, 50 lands the way the Field of the Dead deck does. Castle Loch Thwain, alright, that gets around Narset in a nice way. They've got access to 5 cards in the yard, so Uro's not coming out just yet. I'm trying to... I think the play that has the most chance to win me the game here is taking Demonic Pact. Like, I need to plan to, like, draw a 4th land and pack them. I think just dirtling around with multiple Omen of the Sea is not going to be a good way to spend the next turn. 7th land is untapped. That's a bad sign. Oracle of Moldiah, okay? Straight into the Field of the Dead. And the Hour Promise on top, and... Yep, we don't have any mana, so we're dead. Okay, so... Good start from them. They drew right out of the bind we tried to put them in. This, I'm not saying the title of the stream is accurate. I think this is probably a 50-50 matchup, but when it's bad, holy moly, it's real bad. Eliminate notably misses Oracle of Moldiah. I'm glad Disdainful Stroke hits it. What's the last cut now? We used to cut Censors. We no longer have useless cards like Censor in the deck. Oh, it's just Oath. Okay, a couple Oath. So Oath's still nice. It can kill off an Oracle of Moldiah or something, and it's good to blink for actually burning them out. But Yeah, the Crazy 99, it was pretty perfect. I mean, their deck is insanely consistent. It's one of the, the great wonders of the Magic deck building world. I appreciate, like, seeing it. I can appreciate its existence. Can I just keep 2 counterspells and 5 lands? I think I, like, want another Atris in this deck or something. I keep getting too many hands that look like this and having to throw them back. Is this worse? I think I mull this. I think I have enough powerful sideboard cards I look for one of those. This hand is better. This hand is better. Okay. So, good chance we can like go discard and discard a Demonic Pact and really start setting up some card advantage. Unless our opponent Thoughtseize our Demonic Pact with an untapped Swamp on turn 1 from their field of the dead deck. They took my Thoughtseize? What? I mean, I think our opponent doesn't know what Demonic Pact does, and I'm here for it. Alright, well, we gotta take our Promise. And mull this. It's not a land. I need a land, so I can go turn 4 Demonic Pact. That did not seem like a... Yeah, I mean, they didn't know. Narset shutting down Uro is incredible news. Okay, Atris not incredible. Man, I wish there was like a land you could hit with Narset the way you can get Darksteel Citadel with Karn. That would be incredible. Negate's not bad either, though. It's not going to be just zombies happening, but you can't growth spiral, so we've got a lot of things covered. Guess we're just going to keep cycling through now. Okay, now I'm going to cast Omen of the Sea. And we just need to hit our 4th land drop here. That's a point, I guess. That is a reasonable point. Okay, I'll take Fabled Passage, and I'll take the other land as well. I don't know that we're necessarily going to crack Fabled Passage here. We've got another hour of Promise covered, which is neat. Oracle of Moldiah could be a problem. Alright, do I want to draw this tap land? I believe so. We could get completely barbecued if the opponent chose a Sour Promise here. But I believe it's worth the risk. It would take the card on the top of my deck and shuffle it in.
Oh.
Let's try this. Hey there, Dean. Good morning to you. I think we played the other day, didn't we? Alright, go in Pact here. If they have another Hour Promise after the one we took away from them, so be it. They'll get to make a lot of zombies, and I will probably die. Although I can just Demonic Pact trying to draw cards and hit Deputy or Cry, so that could maybe save me. Oh boy. Oh boy, chat, they didn't have the bad. They didn't have the big bad thing that I was very afraid of. Now we're going to pick apart their hand here. They had another non-unique land. I guess they play multiple swamps, so it's fair they got the turn on Thoughtseize. They get to discard Uro kind of for free as long as there's an Narset in play. They discarded 2 Growth Spirals. Oh, goodness. Oh, Field of the Dead. Oh no, Field of the Dead. Yeah, this is just me putting Yorion in hand, I think. And continuing to hold up Negate. I could Narset looking for a discard spell in case they have something scary, but I think Yorion just resetting is the best plan for the future. Yep, it still doesn't do much. Getting some land drops. 1 land drop, that's fine. Cool, cool, cool. Opponent has no blue mana yet, notably. So this is looking like a solid game for us. Okay, yeah, they're not even going to try. That makes sense, that makes sense. We didn't have any answers to zombies yet, but highly likely that we found one. Given that. Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm always wondering about Grafdigger's Cage, because Uro is such a pain in the rear end. I think the Oaths are better. Card has a lot of utility in longer games, as you might have seen at the beginning of the stream if you were watching then. And I think it's just like Atris is... Maybe I go like a split on like Atris Cage. Atris is pretty slow in the draw, admittedly. Yeah, let's do a split of Atris Cage. Cage sadly doesn't stop Oracle, and Oracle is also kind of an issue, you know. Riot Bright Moon, thanks for the follow. Alright, this is a very good hand. Thoughtseize, even Thoughtseize doesn't bother us too much. Yeah, this is actually excellent. This is like one of the best like 8 card starters I could ask for. 9 cards. So if the opponent doesn't have a discard spell, we should be able to resolve Narset almost for sure, and we can Thought Erasure and Hour of Promise, which is the only card that really scares me early is Hour of Promise. The rest of it I just take as a given that they're going to hit land drops or whatever. No Thoughtseize, love it. How many scaries? Okay, that's a hand of magic cards. I guess it's just Hour of Promise. I guess they draw a land and they slam Krasis for 2. It's actually kind of awkward for Narset. Huh. Do I just take Krasis? No, if they go like 2 lands on top and they can threaten to cast Hour, that's horrible. So I take Hour. And I don't need this land. Alright, let's see if they think to just go Krasis for 2. I mean, they would have to hit an untapped land as well. Which is not a thing their deck has an incredibly... Okay, they did hit it. Are they going to cast the Krasis? They did not. Okay. So, definitely Narset time for me. And then they probably cast Krasis next turn to try and kill her. If they, like, Growth Spiral into a land, and then they hit Casualties of War this coming turn, then it's horrible. So they would have to be an untapped green source specifically. Have to be specifically an untapped green source. Anything else, we can hold up Dovin's Veto and be kind of fine. Thoughtseize, please? Or like a cheap removal spell for Krasis? I don't really have those. Omen's fine. Okay, no untapped green source for Casualties. Por favor. Project Vanir. It's awkward sometimes, but I think it's sort of like the worst cards you can play except for all the other ones. Like, you really just want things that cover every deck. And they're just kind of reasonable against almost everything, even if they're not outstanding against anything. Okay, so we are never going to not have Dovin's Veto up ever again. That is my current plan. We are just going to not let them Casualties at any cost here. Oh, that's Thought Erasure. Okay, well, I guess I just take that then, right? Yeah, I just take that. Play it, hold up Veto. Next turn I get Deputy for their Krasis plus holding up Veto. We're not, like, replete with field answers yet. We have some. Burrow, Casualties, Krasis. Just Krasis, right? Because there's nothing else they can do that I have to care about? Because, like, Casualties, if they can cast it, I can veto it. Having to hold a veto for it forever is a little awkward, I guess, but Krasis coming out as a 4/4 forces me to Deputy. I think it's just Krasis. They can just hold this in hand, and they can eventually kill Narset with Blaststone. At this point, I actually am interested in the land. This card. All I need to have is on top green source on top of their deck, and they would be able to cast it and kill Narset and my land. And the Spiral, annoying though it is, doesn't matter that much. Basically, keeping this card turns off all their copies of Explore, which they have 4 of. It turns off their 4 Uros. Turns off their Krasis. Just keeping her around is the name of the game here. Alright, we've managed to imprison the deck with many, many, many more lands than us. That's a Yorion. Love that. Love seeing that one. That's a really good one. So now I get to just go land Yorion, and we get to buff up everything. And I guess if they then hit an untapped green source, they get to kill all my stuff. Maybe I was supposed to take the Casualties. It's hard to say. But yeah, I think this is too good not to do. Because even if they Casualties, I just immediately cast Demonic Pact. And we're kind of like right back on our bullshit, as it were. This is a turn of vulnerability. We didn't have to have it, but I think field is dangerous enough in a long game that it was worth taking it. Alright, I like Thoughtseize, because that gets rid of Casualties forever if they do that to us. And I'll take a land drop too. Basically, this all works. Because I have an answer to zombies. If I didn't have an answer to zombies, I might be thinking about going for one more aggressively, but I do. Okay, they hit an untapped green source and it makes 2 zombies. That's the absolute worst case scenario for us. We got incredibly punished, I guess. That was like the best card in their deck to draw there. So we lose a lot of stuff. It's not great. We do just get to Deputy and hold up Veto from there. They get an Uro back at some point. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough, right? I think the line was still right, but that was really tough. The line of not taking Crisis might have just been awful, frankly. It is completely plausible that we were supposed to do that. So now I think the plan is just to Thoughts. I don't even want to Thoughtseize their Uro. I kind of want to make them play it, because they can just get it back if I Thoughtseize it. So I think the good thing to do is just go Hallowed Fatten tap, cast Demonic Pact, going Shields down Veto again, but, you know, what are they going to do towards what they already did to us? So this is the 50-50 matchup, right? You try. We had a really good start. We had some chances there. They happened to hit the thing they needed. And now, okay, they need another untapped green source to get Uro out of the yard this turn. And if they did have that, we could kill the Uro. So we're actually still in pretty reasonable shape with Deputy and a Counterspell and an active Demonic Pact. We need to find time to get Yorion in hand at some point, is the thing. We can also kill it with Blast Zone at some point, that's fine. So I could take the last card, I could draw 2. Pretty sure it's a just draw 2. Start looking for flickers and whatnot. Okay, more land drops. Not unwelcome either. Going to go for... So the play might just be Deputy, put Yorion in my hand here. Vetoes don't really hit anything at this point. Could put the other Pact in play. That also is tempting in its own way. They're going to hit me to 6 if I do that. They can also just kill the Pact. No, they can kill the Pact, so that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I need to Deputy the zombies this turn. And I think the play is just putting Yorion in my hand from there. Alright, they chose not to keep the zombies, which is great. A lot of people wouldn't see that play, so I wasn't expecting our opponent to. And I think Thoughtseizing whatever last card in hand, I think it's just like pretty likely to be a land. They already played 2 lands last turn, so I'm just going to put Yorion in hand and hope for the best. They have a card in their hand, but they already played lands last turn, so if this were a land, they couldn't have played it. So I think it's probably just a land in their hand. Yeah, given that they have the active Castle Lockthwing going as well, plus the Uro, we're like probably about to get buried. Like we just have a lot of cards. We also have just a lot of stuff to deal with every turn, and the like Dovin's Vetoes and Thoughtseize aren't really helping me. These cards all would have been really helpful against Casualties of War, but things just lined up where I was probably too greedy. I think I had like plenty of lines this game not to lose and was just too greedy. But if they don't Blast Zone the Deputy for some reason, I do get to blink it with Yorion and have it protected by Dovin's Veto. We'll see, like Thoughtseize on Yorion would be completely devastating. Our Promise would be quite bad. A lot of stuff just hits me really hard now. Alright, so current plan is we're going to make our opponent discard 2 cards because they do have 2 cards in hand. Oh wow. Wait, they're not Blast Zoning the Deputy? What? I mean, we take those. Oh, is it on 4? Oh, it's on 3. It's on 3. Okay, so this feels like it's going to have to be play Yorion. Blink Deputy to eat Uro, Blink Pact. They can get Uro back pretty well here by just killing Deputy and then bring it back to the graveyard, but you know, we have to keep stalling the Uros. They have Tail's End, we've got the Veto for that. Yeah, I don't understand what they kept either if they discarded Crisis. My hope is that it's Ugin and they're just going to like be incredibly confidently casting it. Hour is another thing they could have kept. Ulamog is another thing they could have kept. Cough, 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 ouch. Yeah, this card is... I've seen less of this card than I used to, but it's pretty tough to beat here. I'll acknowledge... This one is without Trial in my deck, I actually just can't... I literally have no way of getting rid of this card, besides another Deputy off the top. Which I guess I could draw. Yeah, that was tough. But I think this game was winnable. My conclusion to this game is I think it actually just was a game I could have won if I had not given them the chance to get really lucky. Or if we had drawn an Ashiok earlier, geez. Okay. Yeah, with Ulamog attacking me, I have to chump with Yorion, and then I think I just can't win this one. No, I think that was a pretty normal draw. I think the hitting the Fabled Passage is pretty lucky. They probably had like a, I don't know, 20% chance of hitting an untapped land that made green there. DT Lurch. My hope was just veto because I had to beat the card in their hand, I had to beat the card on top of their deck, and I had to beat the card they could cast a Lockthwain into. But yeah, seeing that they discarded Krasis, I probably should have expected it was Ulamog. I was just thinking it was probably Hour of Promise or something. I hadn't seen Ulamog from them before. But it could have been wrong. Let's do one more. See if we can end top 100. We still have time. It was a pretty quick match. Yeah, they also had the card off Uro. No, we had a deputy at that point, so not necessarily, but they could have blast zoned the deputy. Yeah. Yep, Andre, it's entirely possible. The question is the gas that Dovin's Veto can counter, and as far as I was thinking, the only card that Dovin's Veto doesn't counter would be like Ulamog or another Krasis. I probably, given that another Krasis was possible, it's another thing I should have thought about. Oh, didn't even notice I should have Gantha. Okay, this hand is still fine. Alright, Demonic Pact is actively great. So we get to do some stuff. They're going to deal us a lot of damage, of course. Guess I just take the card that represents more raw damage. Ouch. That was a really good draw. I would have absolutely taken this if they had it in their hand then. Okay, so then this turn's gonna be... This turn's gonna be Thought Erasure, I suppose, because they're gonna just play out their whole hand next turn anyway. Again, just gonna take the card that deals the most damage. Then next turn I can Fetid Pool's Trial of Ambition, the turn after that I can Demonic Pact. I'm probably gonna die to burn before that happens. Depends what their draws are. Oof! Yeah, that's tough. So opponent... We'd had discard spells, and our opponent just both turns just drew the card that I really wanted to discard from them. We could still draw Oath of Kaya specifically. Like, if they hit a land this turn and we draw Oath of Kaya, we could very much be in this game, so I'm going to keep playing, but pretty low odds we win here. Yeah, Chill Saber. So Masker Worm I just find is not nearly as helpful as I want it to be. Light Up the Sage almost certainly kills us. Yeah, we just die to that. Alright, that was a clean 4-turn kill by burn through 2 discard spells. This deck's really good. Fire Smatter definitely smashed us with the fire that game. Okay. But yeah, it's good. We're seeing, you know, the deck kind of, you know, these are the things that beat the deck, right? Like, I mean, that draw would have beaten any Field of the Dead deck in the world as well, so I'm not too concerned about it. It does seem like the Field of the Deck decks seem like no longer have main deck like sweepers. I feel like whenever I throw a discard spell at them, their hand is always just 100% Explorers, Uros, and Hours of Promise. I guess you just don't need them anymore with Hour of Promise. This hand does nothing until turn 4. Not with it. This hand I am much more with. I guess I just throw back Yorion. Yorion just doesn't accomplish anything right now. Literally has no synergy with any cards in the hand. Opponent's hand is 100% Ramyap Ruins. Alright, well, we'll drew another Yorion. Got a Thought Erasure here and set up land drops. If we're not hitting land drops, we're not winning the game. Okay, that's the hand. It is another Ramyap Ruins. I'll just take a Wizard's Lightning. It's most efficient damage. Okay, Omen of the Sea. Omen of the Sea is close enough to being a land drop that I'm going to keep it. Yeah, that's turn 2. Definitely pretty happy they didn't put Lightning Bolt in Historic. It was confusing to some people at the time. I'm happy. Well, really glad we kept the Omen. Really, really glad we kept that Omen. We do need another black source, though. Cry the Carnarium. Hard card to cast at this point. Opponent can just throw burn spells at us and put me to 7. Looks like that's what they're doing. 1 black source, please. Trial of Ambition. Alright, I mean, it's better than nothing. But yeah, we have 4 Oath of Kaya in the deck for this reason. This matchup is pretty much where we want them. But if you don't draw an Oath of Kaya, the matchup is pretty tough. If you do, the matchup is kind of blindingly easy, in my experience. Note that these Ramanap Ruins all represent 2 damage to my face. So, this is a very unsafe place to be. Very, very unsafe place to be. Oath of Kaya? Yep, we just literally can't interact with their creature, we're dead. I think I might want to change the lands up a little bit. No, I've already got... I'm not going to add more black sources with any of the changes I make. Alright. So, the top 100 comes and the top 100 goes. That was... Mono Red had 2 very, very good Mono Red hands. We had 2 hands that just were kind of awkward. And that's the way it goes. Play 4 Oath of Kaya, don't cut the Oath of Kaya. Alright, well that will be the last match. You saw it. You saw the good of the deck, you saw the bad of the deck. It's not a dominant deck in Historic, right? If you want to play a dominant deck in Historic, get really good at playing Field of the Dead. Our Promise is... Like, Field of the Dead is the best card in Historic, and it's not close. Our Promise is ridiculous. Or possibly get really good at playing a Citadel deck. I hear those just kind of beat up on a lot of decks that aren't ready for them. A lot of decks just don't seem to have the right tools. But... yeah, this is a fun deck to get good at. It's a deck that's incredibly resilient to bans. No one is coming to ban Yoran. No one is coming to ban Demonic Pact. And so it's one that I think is more likely to stand the test of time than the Citadel decks, or especially Field of the Dead. Tarzan by, I used to think about Clover in Historic. The format got much more powerful and Clover did not. Back when Historic didn't have Muxus in it, back when Historic didn't have Collected Company in it, back when Historic didn't have Hour of Promise in it, I think that Clover is a totally realistic thing to do. I think if you try to play... So Clover does not look like a mid-range deck in Standard, but Hour of Promise makes Clover look like a bad mid-range deck. It's not the kind of thing you want to be doing. Yeah, I mean, you can bounce Citadels and you can wish for Alpine Moon. I think the Citadel matchup would probably be fine. I think wishing for Alpine Moon is going to be incredibly tenuous and slow. But, I mean, if y'all want to try it, let me know how it goes. I'm curious. I just feel like it doesn't gain enough. Mr. Zane, I mean, I don't know. I don't work at Wizards. I hope they do. I think they will, but I don't know for sure. Yes. All right. So thanks everybody for tuning up. Yeah, Alpine Moon gets Blast Zone. That's one issue. It's just Field is pretty flexible. It's pretty good at overriding the usual answers to it. And the fundamental thing it does is just so much better than the fundamental thing that Clover does. Ruby Shield and MJ Grenier, thank you both for following. Remember to follow the stream if you want to see more Esper Yorion action. Coming up next on Friday at 6 p.m. PST. Going to be practicing this deck a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be playing this or some variation of it in the Mythic Invitational. I wish you all a good night, and I hope to see you on the next stream. Anybody think we could raid? No? Alright, anybody know of it? Anybody see any other good Historic players on Twitch we could raid? Any suggestions, chat? Morenfin, thanks for the follow. The deck is up on screen too. Yep. If I could play more than 4 Oath of Kaya, I would probably play about 5 or 6, just because it's so great against all those aggro matchups, but sometimes you just get mono-redded, and there ain't nothing to do about it. Mythic Matt, says Project Vanier. Alright, if no one else has a suggestion, we'll do that. Let's raid Mythic Matt. Alright, thanks everybody for watching, and I'll send you all off to the raid world in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy trails.